Live from Mike Miley Stadium in Metairie, it's a special edition of Crescent City Sports Baseball. As tonight we get a look at some of the best amateur players from the New Orleans area competing on a couple of different teams at a couple of different levels, but we also get to celebrate a decade of what has been done with the Cardinals baseball program this evening, because the Gibbs Construction Cardinals will take on NOCA Select here this evening. Hi, everybody. Lenny Van Gilder alongside Joey Cabaceres. And, Joey, you get the unique opportunity to see a lot of these guys as freshmen, sophomores, juniors, help develop these guys and get them ready for their next season of high school baseball. And then the Cardinals come in and take a lot of graduating seniors out there, and they Then they take these guys and get them ready for college, perhaps. And in a lot of cases, many of these guys are headed to college. Yeah,
we start our programs at NOCA at 13 years old. So we like to say, when the field gets big, that's when we come in. But Gibbs has been really good for the last decade because they give our players after graduation another place to sharpen up, play, and compete.
We're going to step aside here for just a moment as we get ready for the national anthem from Mike Miley Stadium here in Metairie, Louisiana. And we'll be with you all night telling you all about not just these players, but everything that much of what we're talking about here this evening as the teams make their way to the baselines, as you see.
Yeah, big groups. I mean, we brought out a lot of kids for this. We go down. Incoming seniors to guys who are going in their sophomore year.
There you go. So both teams on the line. Just a moment, our national anthem here from Mike Miley Stadium in Metairie. So just about set for baseball here in Metairie tonight. Before this game gets underway, though, we're going to have a very special first pitch coming up as the teams are going to make their way back to the dugouts. And
yeah, that was really nice. I got a chance to see Larry Gibbs. I don't get to see him as much. I played ball with Brian, coached Emerson, and he was that classic dad.
No doubt.
That was at everything we did.
And you mentioned he was the ultimate dad, but obviously he's been somebody that has had the resources to be able to support amateur baseball at a very high level,
right?
In the Metro New Orleans area. We're talking about Little League on up to
that's right.
What we see here. So it's it's tremendous what he's been able to do. So
yep, I mean this is his passion. What's nuts about it, it's not the only thing he does.
Direct your attention to the area in front of the pitcher's mound. Cardinals summer baseball program has been able to sustain great success success over the last 10 years, thanks in large part to its support network.
Now, Mr. Gibbs will get ready to make his way to the mound.
Yep.
And
Throwing out our
throw.
ceremonial first pitch this evening. In addition to his name and sponsorship of the Cardinals for the last 6 years, he's been a great supporter of amateur baseball throughout the New Orleans area for many years. So let's give a warm welcome to New Orleans baseball man, Mr. Larry Gibbs, heading out to the mound.
now Larry Gibbs will make his way to the mound. We're going to get a chance to visit with Larry a little bit later on as well. Is he going all the way to the? He's going all the way on the rubber. He is
60
well
feet.
close enough. Close
We'll give him
enough.
60.
There you go.
There you go.
There
He
you
laid
go.
up.
But hey, when you had two sons that were pitchers, you need to be on the mound, right?
That's right.
There's no doing that from in front. And
Number 1, Cardinals jersey.
and
One more round of applause for Mr. Larry Gibbs.
Yeah, he's truly a lover of the game and the amateur side. I think what it's meant for so many kids to be able to, how much he's impacted them over what, maybe 4 decades.
yeah, exactly. And I was fortunate to be at Tulane when Brian got a chance to play there, and I was in the production truck when Emerson pitched his memorable game at Jesuit back in 2012, and one that they still talk about to this day, and I know Larry does as well. So it's and it's one of the fascinating things about that is not just the fact that he's was a great dad and things like that, but 22 years apart, his sons graduated from Tulane, right, or played their final game as seniors at Tulane. And what was interesting to me is he took to the newspaper and took out a large ad.
Yeah.
They were very similar,
Yep.
and when I saw it in 2016, it took it all the way back to when I was working there in 1994 and got a chance to be able to see that happen. It was crazy. So
Yeah.
all right, so we'll take you through some of the players on both teams. Gibbs is going to open with Cameron DeRoche on the mound this evening. DeRoche is a left-handed pitcher from Lutcher, still looking for a college destination, but he's going to start this game this evening. He is 1-1 with a 280 earned run average, 15 innings of work, 13 hits, 6 runs, 6 walks, and 22 strikeouts over the course of the summer. So tell us a little bit about the NOCA lineup, if you will, and those guys.
We're going to have a bunch of guys running in and out of this game. Danny and I spoke before, and they're going to let them free sub. But Patrick Brothers is going to lead off. He's a center fielder for Jesuit. You're going to hear a lot of Jesuit names, but I think we have 13 or 14 different high schools represented. Speedy center fielder runs a 6'5", 60, hits from the left. Marshall Serio is going to hit in a 2-hole. He'll play short. He's Jesuit shortstop as well. Alex Sherman's going to be in a 3. He'll be at first base, do a little bit of DHing. He's also going to throw an inning tonight. Really nice left-handed stroke. He's special, one to watch. Joe Bosco will be playing first and DH a little bit as well. He's a Jesuit kid. He's their starting first baseman. He was just the MVP of or co-MVP of the Crescent City League for the summer. In the 5-hole is a young buck coming up named Austin Guidry. Guidry's only going to be a sophomore. Started this year for them behind the plate. Big kid, strong, a lot of juice in the bat, and young, and actually throws under a 2.0 pop. Arthur Lamberg is going to be in right field. He's Shaw's right fielder, center fielder, speedy, got a lot of quick twitch. Carson Robichaux is going to be at second base. De La Salle shortstop, really rangy, kind of a game disruptor. Gavin DiMaggio, St. Martin shortstop, same thing, really good hands, really, really solid. Sage Falterman will be in 9. He's St. Martin's left fielder. Good bat. And then Arthur Schott is De La Salle's catcher. He's going to be the EH. So we're going to go with 10 guys tonight.
There you go. So we are set for baseball here as the first hitter will step in. And as you mentioned, it will be Michael Brothers from Jesuit, the center fielder. Left on left to get the game started.
Yeah, Michael's going to do a lot of things. He's a classic leadoff hitter. He runs a 6'5", but he's got a high baseball IQ, good instincts. He's always been a little physical, so he's got some power in the bat. I would expect him to kind of jump on this 2-0 pitch right here down if it's in a certain spot.
The 2-0 is a strike, and it's 2-1. Here comes the 2-1. That is lifted in the air to center field, and shortstop drifting out and
made a great play.
Make the catch over his shoulder. Yeah. Terrific catch right there.
That's how you want to start
the
the game.
Gibbs shortstop. That's Blaze Rodriguez, and look, he's a great story. He's a young man who was uncommitted when the summer started, and the coaching staff at UL Lafayette got a chance to see him early on in the summer, and he is headed to the Raging Cajuns next year.
I watched him earlier in the summer, too. I watched him play shortstop. He can churn the ground around. He's quick. He got to that ball in almost, dead center field.
So now Marshall Sirio steps in from the right side.
Marshall's a good-looking kid, big, athletic. He's got a good arm, can cover a lot of ground, smooth, has some real juice in the bat.
Swing and a miss. It's 1-1. You mentioned he was co-player of the year in the Crescent City Sports Prep Summer League. Had a chance to see a lot of these Jesuit guys playing for Retief Oil.
Yep.
Again, I'm sorry, Bosco is. I'm getting my Jesuit players mixed up. That's a strike, and it's 1-2. We'll see him in just a moment, but you got to, there's a lot of Jesuit guys in this lineup. Of course, Jesuit got to the finals of the playoffs against Brother Martin-based Case for Kids, and for the second year in a row, Case for Kids winning the Summer League, as the count is now 2-2. We have
2 17-year-old squads that play all over, and this game got rained out and got pushed to this day, so we're missing a few guys.
That's called strike 3 on the outside corner. Nice pitch right there.
But Marshall's an anchor for one of those teams, plays shortstop. He's got a pretty high score when you look at him in like a PBR or a ranking thing.
The next batter is number 16, Alex.
And again, you mentioned you've got 17 U teams, 16 U teams, 15 U teams that are playing in different places. On this day, you're seeing a lot of guys come together for one day that you wouldn't ordinarily see.
Right.
But this isn't football or basketball where you got to get out there as Sherman steps into the box.
Yeah, Alex Sherman here. St. Martin's 3-hole. He can really hit it. I think he's got 3 home runs on the summer for us, which is a lot considering, we play 5 weekends, right? So we're not running out 150 at bats. But really swings the bat well. He's got a couple offers. Northwestern is a Division I. So, who knows what he's going to be at the next level because he can pitch too.
It's a strike.
One of the good things about this game and about Gibbs is that it gives an opportunity for these younger guys to play up. And traditionally in travel ball, you don't play up. You play at your age, and you don't get a chance to really, venture into these areas. And so with Gibbs coming around, it allows teams to get better by playing these guys. It allows these players to get developed a little bit.
Tap foul behind the plate, and we'll do it again.
Give a coaching nod to Ben Harris. He's coaching third base for us. Ben's a shortstop at Loyola. We use a lot of current college players as coaches.
Oh,
took one in the helmet.
Yeah, the helmet's good.
There goes the perfect game. And that brings your MVP up to the plate, Joe Bosco.
You go. Now Bosco, and he had a terrific summer for Retief Oil, and
the next batter is number 5, Joe Bosco.
Hit over 450, 460,
I
believe it was. Yeah, it was a big numbers.
I think everything he hit fell in. Good hitter, works his tail off. He likes to hit. I always enjoy seeing him and his dad. We have this little facility called The Shop. It's in Metairie, and it's one of those 24-hour hitting facilities. You go whenever you want. And they go in there, just about every other day, every day. And they just enjoy the process of swinging a bat and hitting the ball. So it's no shock that he's going to be able to hit. He's a junior, going to be a senior. He's uncommitted, smart kid. He's one of those old souls, one of my favorite kids we've ever had. He will do Bull Durham quotes. He'll do Field of Dreams.
There you
I
go.
mean, so good. And
0-2. And by the way, Bosco also can pitch as well.
He
And
can.
I believe he threw 7 scoreless innings this summer.
yeah, he actually coming up, when he was 13, 14, we thought that's what he was gravitating towards, just being more of a pitcher. And then really his freshman to sophomore year, the bat came alive that summer. He got a little physical. You know, these kids, puberty comes in at different times. And we were playing in a World Wood Bat in Hoover, and he just destroyed the ball all week. And since then, you know, he's been really more of a bat.
That's up high. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes to Bosco with Sherman at first, 2 outs, top of the first if you're just joining us here.
Alex is a good runner. He's not super fast by any means, but he's intelligent. He may run on this pitch. It's a lefty, so if he did, you'll go first of movement. Let's see. Oh.
And a foul ball. It'll stay at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
I think he's 6'1", 6'2", comes in at about 210. Big kid. He's got some pop in the bat. He's got a nice short, quick swing, lets the ball travel. He just fouled that ball down the right side. So he's a tough guy to get the swing and miss.
Just missed
nice
inside with the
slider.
breaking pitch there, and it's 3-2.
Yeah, see, he showed more of a curveball before, and that was a little late breaking slider, so it just fooled him. Good pitch. Kiefer Ari behind the plate.
Yeah, seeing some stories about how the curveball has kind of gone away, and seeing sliders and sweepers, and you're not seeing traditional curveballs anymore. Went out high with the fastball that time and got him to chase, and that'll do it here for NOCA in the top of the first inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and a man left. We'll finish that conversation. Because it's because fascinating to me.
It's Rapsodo and TrackMan.
Yeah, exactly.
There's your answer.
There you go.
But I'll go into the why. But it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's the game. The game has changed in a lot of ways, and that's just one of them that it has. Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. But again, like you say, it's changing in what it is that they're going to see. But they're not going to get all the all the spin rates on a traditional curveball like you might see on a slider or sweeper or whatever the case may be. So.
Right. Yeah, TrackMan and Rapsodo really, we have one at the shop. We have a 3.0, and we let guys come and throw on it. And all it really does is tell you how your ball is spinning. And what's amazing when they're younger is that if you ask them, how do you think your ball spins? Like draw it, like a 3D model. They'll be inaccurate every time. So this allows for a little connection from field to reel. And then with that, you've created all kinds of new terms, sweeper. And, when I was coming up, there was a slurve, right? And then all of a sudden, Mariano Rivera made the cutter a big thing. Mm-hmm. Really, it just comes down to what your bias is as a thrower. So if you have a supernator bias, you're going to be able to really get around the ball well. You're going to be able to spin the ball down. You're going to have more of a curveball effect. If you have more of a pronator bias, which means that you stay behind the ball a little better and you struggle getting around the ball, then you're going to probably have more of a sinker. You're going to throw something more of a gyro slider. But when I was coming up, we just called it all curve. Mm-hmm. So I think today the best way to do it is say there's a family that's called breaking balls. Now, in that breaking ball,
you can do any number.
You can
of
do
things
anything you want, and they all work.
That's
right?
it, no doubt. Tell us about. Speaking of which, tell us about
Cooper,
the first NOCA pitcher of the evening.
Yeah, this guy had a great summer for us. This is Cooper Davis. He's out of Curtis. He's a guy that kind of threw some spot relief for him last year, and then this summer became somebody that got consistent innings for him during the week. And then we were really one of the things we try to do is make sure these guys get a healthy diet on the weekend. So he comes to us. We figure out when he's going to throw. We give him his game. If he throws just a little, he'll come back and throw maybe again 2 days later. But just mound time and presence. Cooper's going to have a lot of command. He has a nice little spinner. So it's a little bit of a gyro slider. He's got also a little bit of an overtop spinner. So he can change speeds. If you catch the ball behind him, you're going to be pretty good because he's going to find a way to hit bats. And he's a bit of a bulldog. He just doesn't really get phased. He just throws the next pitch. So this has been a good coming out summer for him. We had him come in at 13 when he was young, and we've watched him kind of grow. We get first pitch swinging, base hit.
Blaze Rodriguez right back up the middle. Before we could even talk about him, we mentioned that he was a late commitment to UL Lafayette and is headed to Lafayette this fall. But listen to his numbers. 549 on the summer, 28 for 51. He's got 15 doubles, 16 RBIs. And, he's a threat to run. He's 8 for 8 on stolen bases down at first base. As Gavin Berry will step in.
Yeah, I watched him early in the summer. I thought he was committed to maybe some like a JUCO early, Gulf Coast or somewhere like that. But you could see the electricity in Blaze, and you could watch him chew up the ground at short. You could see the swing. I think when he gets to the next level, he'll develop by playing against older guys. Right now, he's the older guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And here's Barry. Barry's an interesting story.
Barry out of Brother Martin is headed to Delgado.
Yeah. He played for us when he was young, too, 13, 14. And then Brother Martin, and then stopped playing high school baseball at one point. Just said we're going to, there's a story behind it. We'll let that story lay where it lays. But he never gave up on baseball. And he always kept, he would call around, I want to play, I want to go here, I want to go there. Coach, can you pick me up? Can I play? He just always has stayed persistent. And I think that's the story. Yep. The kid has stayed persistent.
No doubt. 3-0 to Berry. And takes high for ball 4. So first and second, nobody out. Here in the bottom of the first.
The next batter, number 1, Peyton Stubbs.
Peyton Stubbs will step in. Stubbs out of Destrehan is headed upriver to Baton Rouge Community College next year.
Yep. First pitch breaking
Takes
ball.
One outside.
Yeah.
Caught the outside corner, I should say. It's a strike. It's 0-1.
Yeah. And I think that's a good Cooper Davis pitch right there, right? He walks a guy. He goes, all right, I'm going to go first pitch breaking ball. And you're either going to take it or you're going to ground out.
And then bounces in there and kicks away.
Yeah, good read.
Yeah, nice job by Rodriguez getting the third. That ball did not get away very far at all. Yeah, so.
Yeah. Well, he had such a good secondary as well. So, I mean, his primary was fine. His secondary lead was really strong, and then it allowed him. He didn't hesitate. When you do that,
as soon as you see the ball bouncing, you're taking off. Yeah. So first and third now with nobody out. Pitch lifted into left center field. This will certainly get the run home.
Yep.
And the sacrifice fly will score Rodriguez. First out of the inning, and it is a 1-0 game. The Gibbs Construction Cardinals take the early lead.
Yep, that's how you play baseball. Get a guy to third, hit a ball in the air, get him in.
Yep. Get him on, get him over, get him in.
That's right.
Lucas Saltaformaggio.
Big Luca.
Out of Holy Cross, he will head to St. Bernard Parish to play for Nunez Community College next year.
His second year there, he's a comeback guy, right? So he was at Nunez.
He was there. I'm sorry. Yeah, he was. Yeah, there's a couple of those. I know Ari's in the same boat.
Yep.
And that's it's not unlike not unlike what you see at any level of this. If you got the right birthday, you've got the ability to come back and play.
Well, and in today's market in college, getting on a diamond and actually playing, there's a premium there, right? I mean, it's just really hard to get on a diamond and play at the next level. So in the summers, that ball's hammered.
Yeah, that ball is drilled into left center field. That's going to be over the head and off the wall. Rounding third, coming in to score is Berry with the second run, as it's a stand-up double for Saltaformaggio, and it's a 2-0 ball game.
Yep, he got into that. But yeah, I mean, if you can find a place to play in the summer where you're going to get at bats, where you're going to play, where you get the cadence of playing every day, that's what you need to do. Whether it's here in New Orleans and Joe's League out at Delgado, or you're jumping on a Gibbs team, or you go out of town, like a Rencibia for Delgado went out of town, went to South Miami, South Florida to play. You got to find a place that's going to put you on a diamond, because there is no guarantee.
Yeah. There's plenty of rosters. It's just a matter of
do you want to go get on?
Well, getting on one and then getting in the right spot to be able to get innings and at bats. That's the other part of it.
Yeah, it's not like Cape Cod League where you just go and but even there, those guys aren't going to hang out there if they're not going to play.
Right. Cameron DeRoche steps in. He's pitching, and he also is a pretty good hitter as well at 381, 15 RBIs on the season. Salto Formaggio, by the way, is his 4th double and his 16th RBI of the year.
Ground ball to Robichaux. Got him. Robichaux's a really good middle infielder. He plays all over for us. He's at second today in this game, but he plays shortstop. He plays third. He kind of anchors Dulles House infield. He's one of those really quick kids that can get to everything. So really good infielder. Good play right there.
Be a senior next year.
Yep.
Now Bryson Keller, the DH, stepping in. Keller at 317 on the summer, 10 RBIs.
Now batting number 33, Bryson Keller.
Keller's that rare combination of catcher and right-handed pitcher out of Lutcher.
Lutcher kids are tough, man. Those guys are all competitors. Every time I meet a Lutcher kid and family, they can basically do anything on the diamond.
And let me tell you, they love their sports in the river parishes. Obviously,
Yeah.
we sit in Orleans and Jefferson a lot, and we see it. There is a different passion about sports in the river parishes, no question about it.
It reminds me of kind of West Texas, with the small town feel with football. Like everybody comes in.
Lined in the right, but a nice
Lambert,
job by the
Nice
right
play.
fielder to run that down, and that will wrap up the bottom of the first inning. It is 2 runs, 2 hits.
Summary of the inning, 2 runs, 2 hits.
No errors, and 1 runner left. So through 1, it is Gibbs Construction 2 and NOCA nothing. So seen a few hitters on both sides so far. We've seen some pitching on both sides thus far.
Yeah, you
And look, this is a Gibbs team that was just 1 game the entire summer. It's it's one thing, again, you talk about the whole idea of, a bunch of guys being able to come together in a short period of time in baseball, unlike maybe you can in some other sports. But there's also, the concept of, trying to, winning matters and, being able to go out there and win consistently. It's not just having the best players all the time. It's, you go out there and one guy has a bad at bat, the next guy picks him up. All of the kind of things that you see, whatever level it is, when you talk about winning, that you want to be able to do. And, you can have all the players you want. I mean, the Dodgers have, supposedly the best roster in baseball, but they don't win every night.
Yep. It's what I like about what Gibbs does and what they offer. And you got to remember, since about the COVID year, that summer, they've probably lost 10 games total right in the summers. They're not going to lose many games. They're older. They're playing. Everybody they play is younger than them. Now, I look at that and say that's a really good thing to have in our community because the younger guys get a chance. They don't always get a chance. And then these guys on this diamond, they're getting more baseball being on this team than they would anywhere else. So I really appreciate what Gibbs and what Danny Ream's done with this team to offer it because it's a real void. And in the booth now.
Yeah, we've been talking. We've mentioned the name Gibbs a lot, and it is a pleasure to welcome into the booth our friend and of course the sponsor of the Gibbs Construction Cardinals, Mr. Larry Gibbs, who does so much for this. For this Cardinal program. See if we can get the levels adjusted to where he can hear us a little bit. Hopefully that's a little bit better.
Yes.
Larry, first of all, welcome to the broadcast, and a huge thank you for everything that you do for amateur baseball in particular in New Orleans. You've got, a passion for this game. Where did it start for you, first of all, in terms of your love of the game of baseball?
Well, let me tell you one thing first that's more important. Reason I do what I do, I almost am embarrassed by somebody appreciating it because it's for me. I get way more out of it than I put into it, and I just believe in every time you help a kid to grow, and that's what I think baseball does. It helps them grow. Helps them grow from a young man into a young boy into a young man.
Base hit. Austin Guidry, we missed him. That's a freshman. He's going to be a sophomore at Jesuit. He's a young buck. He's only 15 years old. He's our catcher.
I know you like seeing some of those Blue Jays doing good things as well.
Yeah,
For that matter, all of them.
I'm actually a Brother Martin guy.
Well, I know, but obviously I know your sons played at Jesuit, and you follow baseball throughout the area, not just those. Not just those
they do.
And but I know to finish your point, you saying you get as much out of it.
Yeah, my point. I think
Yeah.
I have a crazy belief system that when you help somebody, and you help them grow, you get a little bit credit back in your little whatever the book that gives you the credits, and you do this enough, and you get a lot of little bitty things, sparks. Obviously, the parents do more good than what I ever do.
Adrian
you get
Lambert.
a little extra practice, and I think all that put together makes my life blessed, and I get a lot. I'm the luckiest man I know.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, and runners first and second now, nobody out here for NOCA in the top of the second inning. And, obviously, what you've done with the Cardinals program, what you've done with the East Bank Little League, and so many others that we could sit here and probably name them all, and, we'd be ready to go for the third inning with the different programs that you've supported in some way, shape, or form along the way. But, when you see teams and these young men have success, whether it was, the Little League team winning a world championship or the Cardinals winning a national championship last year in Panama City, or different championships along the way. I mean, that's got to be a sense of pride as well, that you're helping make some of these accomplishments happen. The young men have to go out on the field and do it,
right.
But you're providing the open door, if you will, for it.
Yeah, and I do feel that way. I wanted to say, even the kids that don't make the World Series or don't win the World Series, they still get something from the game, and I think it's important to recognize that. They're all going to grow into men.
That's right.
That's going to raise families and have a job and pay their taxes, and you got to be a good quality man to do that. And you're going to learn that from baseball.
Yeah, no doubt. You talk life lessons.
Life lessons.
While you were out there throwing out the first pitch, Joey and I were talking about one of my favorite stories when we bring you up, and those are the letters that you wrote to your sons on senior day at Tulane, which go back and read them. You can go find me on Facebook. If not, they're on there somewhere. I've posted pictures of them, but it's you need a couple of minutes to read them, but it said a lot. I mean, you put a lot into that with a lot of words to that what watching your sons playing baseball taught you along the way, and and hopefully what you were able to teach them and help get them ready to move on as young adults at that point.
Yeah. You make a good point, because that letter, and I get a lot of, even to this day, it's been 25 years ago, it's a letter you could have wrote about your son, and about anybody in this stadium that could have wrote about their son, because it's just one of those fundamental beliefs that a father talking about his boy playing baseball. I mean, what's more American and fundamental than that?
Right. What's interesting, I wrote a column last year on senior day for my son, who's a bowler at Brother Martin,
Chile.
And I referenced those letters. In fact, there's a lot of things I talked about on different senior days, and your letters ran on senior day both times, and I that was one of the things that I referenced, is some of the things that I remember about senior days, whether I was working at Tulane or working in television or different places that I was, and it was it was special. It's one of the things that stuck with me, and it was interesting. I didn't even know. I saw the one I was working at Tulane when Brian played, and then all of a sudden it was Emerson's senior day, and I happened to grab a paper that morning for whatever reason. I think, God must have said, you need to go get a newspaper today. Go find one, and the letter to Emerson was there, and I hadn't even thought, oh, wait, it's Emerson's senior day. I wonder if he's going to do this again. And I saw it again, and it just brought me back 20 years to Brian's senior day once again, which was a
very appreciated. You said that.
Yeah, it was those were obviously all special times, and I'm sure special for you as well, getting a chance to see those young men.
Carson Robichaux goes down on strikes. He had a nice at bat. He had a 6-7 pitch at bat, fouled a bunch of balls off, and they got painted in 1-1.
Yeah, made it work on the outside corner there.
Brings up Gavin DiMaggio. This is St. Martin's, another school for you. This is St. Martin's shortstop right here, Gavin DiMaggio. So one of the things that I love about both of what these teams offer is that a Gavin DiMaggio is playing on the same diamond as a Marshall Serio at Jesuit, and they're sharing time together
Surely.
in the summers and in the falls. And I always felt like that was really special growing up. I mean, we had the JPRD system, which is beautiful. I mean, that was really good.
Well, it's just I saw you grow up.
That's right. You were at all my games.
You're a bearded man now and a coach, but I saw you when you grew up, and you were a freshman when Brian was a senior, I guess. And I saw, you were a great ball player and a great person. And you and your dad and me had a really beautiful friendship
at every game.
In every game,
I know.
And it's like, man, it's been a long time, but you still feel it.
You snap right back into it.
Yeah.
I can tell you from a player's side, when you're on the only thing you can hope to ever feel when you're playing this game, because this game can be bad, right? Like
humbling.
It can humble you,
yes.
and it can create tension like you wouldn't believe. And the best thing that I ever felt on the field was when I could see my mom, my dad, and people like you who were in the stands. Like, it made everything calm down.
Yeah.
And everything's right. I'm just play the game, So that perspective coming from the player was really genuine, and it allowed me personally to just be myself when I played instead of think, man, I'm 14 years old and I'm standing next to Brian Gibbs, who's a grown man. You know what I mean? Like, how do I play with these guys, or Stan Wilt, or somebody like that?
Sure. What is it that you see in baseball players and other athletes? As someone who has run a successful business, what are the characteristics that you see? You say, you know what? You played ball when you were in school. I look at that differently because I know you have what? What are those skills that those life skills that you're generating out on the diamond or all the?
I just talked to the boys downstairs before the game, and I mentioned that very thing that when you get into a baseball game, whether you're pitching or batting, and you're nervous, you got a lot of anxiety for different things. Your mom and dad's in the stands, and it's just what's the score? You got two men on base, and your mind starts going. And every time you hurt yourself when you do that.
That's right.
And the way you be a good, successful baseball player is focus on the present moment.
Yep.
The ball in your hand. And that's a lesson you can take that through in every aspect of your life. And he does it right now.
Yeah, I can tell you Billy Fitzgerald I got to coach, when I got out of playing, I got to coach with Billy Fitz at Newman. And he had that exact same sentiment, and he had a phrase for it. He said, win the next pitch.
The next pitch?
Just next pitch.
The only one? Yeah.
Yeah, if we win this next one, we're going to be good.
Uh-huh.
And we can't go back and change the last one.
No.
So we look, I'm in pharmaceuticals, and I help manage, and that's my real job and all that stuff.
You love your mom in the stands, and she's over there biting her fingernails.
There's no doubt.
But guess what? The worrying about your mom right now ain't to help anything out.
That's right.
Worry about see ball, hit ball.
That's right.
And your mom will take care of herself. She's going to love you after the game.
That's right.
Anyway.
No matter what. But I was saying, I have in my real world, my real job, I manage, 8 or 9 folks that, have careers and families. And I use the same verbiage. We don't say win the next pitch. We say, what's the way forward? What's next? Right? Like, I get it. That sale just fell through and, okay, what's next? What are we doing next? So
big strikeout right there for the second out of the inning.
Brings you to Arthur Schott. Arthur Schott is De La Salle's catcher.
I don't want to mess up.
Really good.
No, you're doing. This is great conversation, and we're just talking. Again, this is, what you've been able to do. Starting in particularly with the Cardinals here, going back to 2020. So this is the 6th year you've been involved as the, as the sponsor of this team, and I know Danny Remus transitioned it from different places, starting in American Legion, and now they've. We'll get to the history of what he's been able to do, in just a little bit. But it's evolved, just like we evolve as business people in life. Yeah, and again, the game, the game of summer baseball has evolved, and I know, while Danny has the same age group of players along the way, he has moved into some different spots, and now feels like he has himself in a kind of a sweet spot where he's playing on the weekends, and he's able to cap it off with a short trip, down the road to Panama City next week to play in the Grand Slam World Series.
Yeah.
But it's, again, those types of, baseball imitates life, right? It's what it does.
Exactly correct.
It does. It does. Larry Gibbs is our guest here during the second inning. Pleased to have him with us. Again, if you're just joining us, it is 2-0 Gibbs Construction. The Cardinals leading NOCA here in this special 10th anniversary game for the Cardinals program. You know, what we talked. You mentioned he brought Billy Fitzgerald. One thing I do want to mention real quick is if you haven't had a chance to go back and look at it, it ran on Crescent City Sports back in February, but I'm sure you're very familiar with it as well. This past year was the 60th anniversary of the so-called secret game between Jesuit and St. Aug, and we had a terrific sit-down by Zoom, the things you can't do, and you used to have to do them in person. Now you can do it on Zoom, but we got Billy Fitz and we got Harold Sylvester, of course, ended up being teammates at Tulane later on down the line, but they were on opposite sides for that game, and it was interesting to hear those guys talk about everything that went into that game and everything that came out of the back end of that game, and the chance that those guys, when they went on to be teammates, and how they had each other's back, even though they came from the same city but different places, obviously. And it was a fascinating listen, their conversation with Roe Brown and the story that went with it. Go back and check it out at CrescentCitySports.com. But so many of the you've seen so the guys you see that come through playing, and then they become coaches. And Joey's talked about it. They're giving a lot of college kids a chance to be coaches here within their program, and maybe get ready to do the next thing. That is a ball four, and that will force in a run to make it a 2-1 ball game.
And we're back to the top with Michael Brothers.
Right.
This is Jesuit center fielder right here.
So, those opportunities that you get out there, and you see a lot of the young men that maybe Brian and Emerson played against, or whatever. Some of them gone on to become very successful coaches. Some of the some of the guys who may have been assistant coaches back then have gone on to be successful head coaches, whatever the case may be. Not unlike what you what you see in the business world, right? It's you're this is about player development. Business is about
people development.
It's about people development. Certainly, it's the same thing.
And that's exactly what it is. People development.
That's right.
It's just he's a businessman, a father, a husband, you name it, and he's got all these roles to fill. And I'm not saying it started in baseball. He had a great family that supported him all the way. But you learn it's not experience. It's not a reading about what you learn in baseball. It's experiencing it.
That's
Makes
right.
all the difference.
Baseball is a tremendous vehicle for growth because it's a game of failure. It's a team sport, and you got to look to the left, look to the right, hope somebody can pick you up, and you get to go through all of it. And I tell kids this all the time. All the balls that ball's hammered down the right field line.
That's a base hit.
Base
One
hit
run is
Brothers.
in. Here comes the second run. The throw will be cut off, and NOCA's going to take a 3-2 lead on that 2-run single by Michael Brothers.
But I tell kids all the time, when you go hit in the cage with your dad, this you'll like this one because you did this with your kids a million times. The balls that you don't hit, the balls that you struggle with, are the balls that made you better that day.
Yeah, right.
It's not all the balls you peppered in the back of the cage. Those felt good, but they didn't make you better.
No.
And so it really is a growth mindset. And if you can get a kid to buy into a growth mindset, boy, he's got the whole world to himself. I mean, it's such. And I started NOCA because I wanted kids to get that experience, and I wanted kids to get exposed, and I wanted college coaches to see them. I didn't start NOCA because I thought we could go win something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
And it's the perfect role for me, and for what I do now. I'm not distracted by the other stuff. I just worry about, as I'm looking at off the shot, at third base. I'm just worried where am I going to be able to get him to college? How good is he going to play his senior year? That stuff. That'll keep me up at night because I want him to be really well. The fact that we're winning 3-2 is great, but it doesn't move my needle.
Yeah.
It is fouled
off
out of play.
Yeah, Marshall Serio here again.
This is the 8th man to bat here in the second inning. A couple of more minutes here with Larry Gibbs. Again, we come back to baseball. What are some of let's leave the obvious out of it with your sons. What are some of the most rewarding things that you have witnessed in baseball that just keep drawing you back to the game and wanting to be a part of the game as much as you can?
You know what I remember, and this is one of those. It's a negative thing, somewhat negative, but I had a boy that when I coached at Little Farms, and he had autism, and he just was not an athlete. But his mother put him on a team, which I chose him, and mother was very protective of him, maybe overly protective. And I remember he was really coming on board, getting into the game. He's not ever going to be a high school baseball player, but he's going to be a good person. And that was probably one of the best achievements that I felt like that I helped some kid in baseball, because he'd go pick up a bat, and as you could see it in his step, in the way he talked about the game.
Yeah.
He walked up to the plate ready to hit, not scared. And all those things, make a difference. And I've had so many boys that I've touched in different ways, and it's been beautiful. I was telling somebody today, I was in the grocery store within the last 10 years. It's been a while back, and I'm pushing a grocery cart. And this guy comes up to me and grabs me. "Coach, how you doing?" He picked me off the ground. And I said, "Man, I've never coached anybody 6'4". Right. "Yeah, you did, Coach. Don't you remember over Little Farm?" I said, "Well, I don't remember, but he wasn't 6'4". Yeah. He was probably 5'2", and I was the same height with a little less gray hair. But the appreciative thing, like it, I got. Do you remember Scott Wiesner?
Of course.
Well,
senior with your son.
Scott Wiesner.
It's that fly ball to center, by the way, ends the inning. Go ahead and finish up.
I'll tell you this one quick story.
No, go ahead.
It's about my benefits from baseball. Scott Wiesner was on the Jesuit team, and he was he had told me before the game. Or actually, his dad was telling me, but they moved him from third to ninth because he was in a slump. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting next to this guy talking, and Scott comes to base with two guys on. And he hits the ball, a rocket shot, out to right center, got a triple or double or triple, and scored 2 runs. And this guy next to me, he didn't know the team. He said, "Well, what is the 9th place hitter doing hitting like this?"
Right.
I said, "That's a 3rd place hitter batting in 9th place." And I said, "But that's the kind of kid he is." And when I got back home, I wrote Scott Wiesner a letter. And just want to congratulate you. I was in the States when you hit that double, and such a great. Told him the story I just told you. Mm-hmm. And he wrote me back a letter, which I still have. That's been, how long ago has that been? That's a long time.
Well,
30 years.
And people were actually still writing letters back, right?
Actually, exactly, correct. And so he wrote me a beautiful letter that just make me cry, and about how he appreciated the letter, and it was just the right time at the right place for him. And it was maybe somebody who wasn't his dad who said that.
That's right. That makes a difference.
Yeah,
it does.
It does. I
mean,
you change. There are ways you can change. You never know. You're talking about life-changing situations.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
By the way, I get to do this. I've done this a lot. But let me also, before I do this, let me mention, we've been at this now, the team behind Crescent City Sports, for 13 years on the air, more than 500 broadcasts. And do you know who threw the first pitch that we ever broadcast on any one of those 500-plus games? Joe, you got any idea?
What year?
Well, I'll tell you, it was 2012.
Oh, I'd probably say Emerson Gibbs.
It was Emerson Gibbs. Threw the first pitch. The first pitch that we ever did. The first game threw the first pitch at John Ryan Stadium back in 2012 on opening night. It was the first game we ever did.
That was Emerson.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was Emerson.
Yeah.
So as we'll get a hitter stat. Yeah. That was first game we ever did. As LeBlanc steps in.
And that was the magic moments. One of them.
Yeah. Jacob Stevens on the mound now for NOCA Select.
Okay.
This will likely be Holy Cross's number 1 next year. He'll be a senior. Big lefty. Looks the part.
Good.
It's going to be about 83, 84.
Gets ahead 1 and 2 here.
Yeah, and that's his thing. Is he's just going to bury the ball in the count, make you swing it. He's got a good breaking ball.
Mason LeBlanc's had a really good summer. 3 homers, 23 RBIs, batting .397. But it's left, and he just looked at a fastball on the outside corner.
That's Jacob Stevens. I mean, Jacob will do that. He reminds me of like a big Tom Glavine. Tom Glavine. Just easy, smooth, nothing special as far as him jumping at you. And all of a sudden you look down, you're 1-2 in the count. and then he's throwing something at you.
Yeah.
You know, but I like him a lot, and he's going to be one to watch this prep season, and he's had a good summer as well.
So here's Kiefer Airy stepping in, the
Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, Johns Hopkins out of the Willow School, and actually this young man and my son were both honored by the Elks chapter out on Cleary last year for scholarships. I
was out on the mound with him. He's a stud.
He's an absolute animal, huh? I mean,
so if I got to whip his ass, I'm
you're in trouble.
I'll make 2 trips.
Yeah. No,
2-0 to Airy here, and we've done this before with some of our when Ronnie Lamarcus stopped in the booth or whatever. But it's 2-1. But I get a chance to actually read about your company here while we're talking about it. Is we tell you that tonight's coverage of Crescent City Sports is presented by Gibbs Construction, a leader in the construction industry in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast for more than 45 years. As that ball is headed into the gap off the right, the wall in right center field, and a double for Airy. Transforming dreams, visions, and plans into reality. Gibbs Construction. I get to do those. It's fun to do that when you're sitting in the booth here.
I started on July 1st, 1976. July 4th, 1976. So this year was our 50th.
So you're celebrating starting
200th anniversary of the bicentennial of the United States, and it'll be the 250th next year and 50th for us.
There you go.
Wow.
So that sounds like a story. If you ask me.
It is a story, and I don't want to tell you guys. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate the opportunity to talk
we thank you for everything that you do and the chance to visit and just to tell stories, because baseball is more than just play-by-play and analysis and stuff. It's being able to tell stories about baseball that come back into life, and I think you can obviously help us do that as well as anybody, and the things that you've done to make baseball special for so many people in our area. We can't begin to say thank you enough.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Enjoy
Larry
it.
Gibbs, thank you very much for being with us here this evening. And again, if you saw it earlier, he had a chance to throw out the first pitch, got himself a jersey. It was a ball. It's nobody, but you know what? The umpire wasn't out there yet, so we called it. We called it a strike up here. We called it a strike up here. It's 0-2 to David Cantrell, the third baseman.
Yeah, Kiefer Airy, he played for NOCA as well since he was 13, and his is a good story. The kid who just has a double. He got to Johns Hopkins, and he went up to a camp in the Northeast. I talked to him and his dad, and the way it works is you start figuring out who you are as a student, who you are as an athlete, as a prospect, and then if you can get some people behind you to be advocates, make some phone calls, kind of stand up for you, send some video, then you can start turning some heads. And he's a player and he can do that. So he's playing at Johns Hopkins, and he's absolutely going to turn pro in something one day.
Mm-hmm. And that what the NCAA likes to say. All these guys are going to turn pro in something. Yep.
I mean, he's probably going to get us to Mars. He's that guy. He's just that brilliant.
Yeah. And, it was interesting. I guess he would have been a part of that game a couple of years ago against De La Salle, the longest game in Louisiana high school baseball history. Yeah. Was that 21 or 22 innings?
Yeah.
We've got it at Crescent City Sports. Go back and search.
It's a good one. Yeah, we have a couple.
I think it was like
it was
7 hours.
Yeah,
almost
silly.
7 hours.
Yeah.
That goes back to the screen, and Airy will actually, I believe that might be a courtesy runner down there for him right now.
It's a courtesy runner for him.
Yeah. Down at third base.
Yeah.
On a pass
ball. Yeah. Also in the game right now is Gavin Korn. Gavin's one of our young bucks. He's 2028. He's going to be a sophomore. He's catching. We brought him in. He came in with Jacob Stevens because they're both at Holy Cross.
Two Holy Cross guys. Yeah. Makes sense.
So he wanted to come in and catch his old battery mate. And there he is.
Big 2-2 pitch coming here. Tap back to the mound. Look the runner back to third and throw to first. Well played out there.
Yep.
And that's a
nice
nice job out there by Stevens.
Yep. Good pitch, good play, good baseball. Guy at third did the right thing.
Got to be able to field your position. So
you hope. When you get into college and you start hanging out with pitchers, that's not a gimme. Those guys struggle sometimes after they throw the ball.
So now Will Muller out of Destrehan. He is headed to Centenary.
Yep. And you're going to see schools like Centenary, Louisiana College,
Opportunities are going to present themselves.
They are going to blow up. Look at Loyola. I mean, Loyola gets a new coach from out of town in. The guy has a lot of wherewithal of like how he wants to recruit and put players in and what can win at that level. And, on the heels of having some good recruits from Doug Faust,
yeah,
who was coaching there before. He had a really nice first year, and then all of a sudden COVID hits. So then you get this opportunity with these kids who have extra years. And if you're at Loyola and you're smart, well, come to Loyola. We'll get you a master's program and come hit 3-hole for us. Come hit 4.
Yeah, now you got a chance to play 5 years.
Yeah,
certainly. Yeah.
And so instead of trying to play that 5th year somewhere that's kind of in the woods, so to speak, you get to play in New Orleans at that university on that level. I mean. And they got to the College World Series this year. That ball's hit well, right?
Line to right, but nice job by the right fielder to run that down. And runner third, 1 out, and the Cardinals can't get it in. So we have played 2 here. This special edition of Crescent City Sports Baseball from Mike Miley Stadium in Metairie. Scheduled for 9 this evening, by the way. And it's a 3-2 ball game. NOCA leading, and it looks like we're going to see a new pitcher for the Cardinals to start the 3rd inning. We talked about one Holy Cross guy a moment ago. Here comes another one in Trace Thomas, who is right-hander who's headed to Nunez Community College.
He's been at Nunez.
Has been at Nunez.
So he threw a little bit this year for Nunez, right-hander, touch guy. You could see the body starting to come in. He pitched for us. He grew up with us playing. Love Trace. He's a NOCA guy. Holy Cross kid, had a really big junior-senior year for them. And I think you're going to see him get a lot of meaningful innings this year for Nunez.
1-0 with a save, 2.71 ERA for Thomas. 10 1/3 innings, he has struck out 9.
Yeah, he was a big command guy with a little bit of sink on the fastball, a little bit of cut as well. Tends to not fall behind batters. You're going to have to swing the bat. And you can see the arm actions getting better as he gets older. I mean, the big thing I tell all these parents is if you want to gain velocity, have a birthday. Like just have a birthday.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to turn 14, 15 and throw 89 miles an hour.
Right.
Give it some time. Let guys get there. Yeah.
And look, the other thing, I think this isn't just a baseball thing. This is an any sport thing. If you're committed to wanting to be good,
right?
I tell parents all the time, you never know when the bell is going to ring. Yeah, all of a sudden that next big jump is going to happen. Something's going to happen. It's not going to be magic, but all of a sudden something is going to happen, whether it's physical development or something between the ears, and all of a sudden it's all going to come together, and that big jump is going to happen.
I agree. It used to be back in the day, and I say back in the day, just 10 years, 15 years ago, the conversation always centered around, you got to get somebody around a certain guy, around a certain coach, and then that would click a kid, right? And I think there's a lot of truth to that. What I see now in travel ball coming up, because everybody can be on a team and do this, they want a good coach, but they're a little less, and I say they, parents and even kids, they're a little less concerned with that. And they're a little more concerned with, like, the pageantry of playing baseball. My team got to here. I can put it on Facebook. And I also think that, you're going out to watch your kid do something. So at some point, we think it's around 13 years old, that shifts. That mindset, it shifts. And it gets into, oh, my, like, I could get cut. Like, baseball could be over. And how do I stave off attrition? So that's really where we came in. Like in that minefield that's coming up next. And then when you get into just recruiting, you just got to have some honest assessments of who a guy is, who he isn't. Trace is a good example of that. He was not a heavy velocity guy, maybe an 85 guy senior year. We had him in the fall. He didn't have anywhere to go his senior in the fall because he didn't make that kind of noise. But when we do a workout, we get Nunez to come watch him. He throws really well in the fall. They go, absolutely, let's bring this guy in. And actually, we play Nunez as NOCA in the fall. We'll play them, BRCC. We've bounced around and played a couple other JUCOs as well. And he had a really good game against them. He threw 2 innings strong, and then that was it. They were like, great, let's let's pull him in. So the opportunity has to come up too.
2-2 is the count to Alex Sherman leading off the top of the third for NOCA. On the ground, nice play by the shortstop, but not going to get the out at first base. But a terrific play out there by the shortstop, Rodriguez, just to get to that.
Yeah.
And, most guys, that's headed into center field for a base hit. But Rodriguez not only got to it, but was able to have the wherewithal to at least make an attempt at a throw to first base. He wasn't going to get Sherman running down the line. It'll go as a base hit.
Alex runs pretty well. He's deceivingly fast. Now, fast from home to first is different. Fast first to second, right? Because you can get a jump. Right. So he boogied down the line just now. I don't think he had any chance to throw him up, but, man, he made a hell of an effort. Yeah.
So a leadoff single here in the third, and it will be Bosco to step in. Marcellus Savoie is a runner down at first base.
You'll see a little more Marcellus. We kind of scripted this game. This is wave one of players. Wave two is Marcellus, and a few other guys are going to come in and take some spots. They're a little younger. We'll talk about Marcellus when he gets in the game, but, man, what a guy I like a lot. He can play center field. He can run. He can pitch. He's really smart. I wouldn't be shocked here. Was it a 1-1 or a 2-1
It's 1-1 count now, I believe.
It might be a decent count to run on. I wouldn't be shocked if he takes kind of a walking lead here, and it's this momentum lead that he does. Steven Serio is one of our coaches and helps out in his son's play. He teaches this at Jesuit. It's almost you can't defend it.
That's a strike, 1 and 2.
He's going to let Bosco hit.
Where do your teams end up on the weekends over the course of the summer? What kind of events do you have?
So
there's a lot. You see them in the area. Yeah.
I've spent the better part of a decade trying to nurture relationships with college coaches, facility, event
strike
organizers.
Strike 3 called on the outside corner. Nice pitch there.
Yeah, really good pitch. Out. And so we've developed somewhat of a private circuit that is different than just sign up and play in tournaments. So we'll go to UNO weekend number 1, and we'll try to get 4 games in there. Then we'll play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then we go to South Alabama, which they just turf their field. Gorgeous. We get metrics on the kids, which they all need to get. There's Guidry again. He's already 1 for 1.
Single and a run scored back in the second inning. It looked like may have had that lead you were talking about then at first base by Savoie. He headed back.
You'll see it. If you're watching it, it is a giveaway. He just starts – it's almost like he just starts going.
Throw over to first. And, look, that's the type of thing, too, if you're – as these teams play, obviously this is potentially one of the final tune-ups certainly for the Cardinals before they head to Panama City. We don't know what the weather forecast holds for the weekend if you've been paying attention in New Orleans. We've got a beautiful day today, but this may be the last beautiful day
for a couple.
Exactly.
But, we'll go to South Alabama weekend number 2. That's usually that first or second weekend in June. Then we come back, and it's hit or miss with our teams depending on the age level. Right? We'll play at Southeastern. We'll play at Alex Box. We'll play at ULL, Nicholls State. We're trying to get kind of in the orbit of those, bigger Division I regional colleges, because a lot of our guys are younger and there's still a chance for those guys, and if there isn't in high school, we want them to get on the radar, So we'll do that. We will send our 14s up to Hoover and play in a perfect game event. That's really nice. It's a week-long event. You play some absolute stellar competition, but it is a long week. It's a grind. And then we'll come back and this is a good midweek for us because the Crescent City League had ended, so now kids are available to do some stuff. And then we'll try to do a tune-up game like this for Gibbs, and then we'll go play this weekend again.
Had the runner going, and had the jump and got in there.
Yeah, good jump. But we're going to go to South Mississippi and play in they call it like an all-college event. And basically I'm bringing all the guys you see on this diamond plus a handful more to go there, 2 teams, and we'll play up and down at USM, Jones Community College, Gulf Coast, and Pearl River. And it's just good baseball in the right spot, and hopefully some opportunity, exposure happens. I've talked to a bunch of coaches that, hey, can you come watch us play? Yeah, I'll come see you here. Who's throwing this game, that game? There's a pop-up to short left.
Yeah, lifted in the air. The left fielder coming on and will make the grab for the second out. Runner will have to hold at second base. And one of the other things on the college end, while the evaluation can certainly go on and it continues to go on, the ability to contact players now, it's changing. It used to be you could contact them at a much earlier age, but now the rules are changing to where until what is it, August 1st of their junior year?
I think it's August 1st of your junior year or August 1st of you're going into your junior year. So it would be current sophomores, 27s this year. Mm-hmm. So come August 1st, August 2nd, they'll receive phone calls if they caught some attention. The problem there is you kind of don't know if you're one of those guys, right? You're
going to find out,
you'll find out. And then the other problem there is, we talked about earlier before the broadcast, Division I baseball is really not a high school recruiting league. They're not really recruiting from the high school.
It's certainly changing, and from the standpoint, you've got a lot of things going on there. I mean, there's been a 40-man roster that's now going to be 34. Down to 34. But at the same time, there's more opportunities for scholarships as well because you had 11. Money. Yeah, you had what was a limit of 11.7 for decades.
Yep.
I mean, I can remember when it was 13, and then when they were making some Title IX adjustments and basically reduced every male sport by 10%.
That's right.
And that's what they did. It went from 13 to 11.7, and it's been that way for quite a while now, like you say. But now it can be whatever you want it to be. So basically, you can have 34 full scholarships if you want, if you choose to fund it at that level. Now,
that's right.
Nobody's jumping from 11.7 to 34 in 1 year. I don't think that's going to be the case.
What they'll do is they'll use NIL money to pay. Right? So when you recruit a kid, you tell them, listen, you're not going to pay anything. It's a full ride, but we're putting you on NIL, and that's going to pay your fee here. Right? So now the school, as the parent entity, doesn't have to give up any money. They still get the money generation. Look at Savoie.
2-1 swing and a miss.
So when we played Gibbs earlier with both our teams at UNO, we had two pretty good games. Adrian Lamberg's up right now. He hit one off the scoreboard at UNO. Wow. And if you look at stand up next to him, he's a thin.
Yeah, you could see. You look at him. Look at him in the batter's box right there. Yeah, he could. Stand to.
He takes
stand to find a buffet, perhaps.
That's right. Yeah. But you know what's funny?
We're kidding, of course, folks.
When I look at that kid, we just missed that one. He hit another one later in the summer. When I look at that kid and his build, that's what you go look at big leaguers' pictures from when they were younger. That's what they look like. They are these kind of thin, underdeveloped guys that are learning how to be quick twitch and connected when they're in high school or younger. And then the body comes in and you have, this animal. So I love this kid, Lamberg. He's out of Shaw. And
rising senior.
Rising senior, yeah. He's gonna be really interesting. Let's see what he can do with this one.
2-2 coming.
We'll choke and poke to right.
And that will drop in, and that's going to score a run.
Yep.
So that's now a 4-2 ball game as Lamborg kind of drops that one into right field. And
really nice. If you can cover the plate, cover the plate.
Yeah. Pitch was on the outside corner. He went out and got it, took it the other way. Nice piece of hitting.
There's nothing you could say to the pitcher or anybody else. It's a good pitch. He executed on it. The batter just got the bat on the ball.
Now Carson Robichaux steps in. He struck out back in the second inning. Probably didn't get a chance to introduce him when he came up because that was part of our conversation with Larry Gibbs. And again, we thank Larry for coming up to the booth and visiting with us. First pitch popped. Foul, and it will get out of play.
It's funny, you don't have a lot of high school stadiums tend to not offer a lot of foul territory, right?
Some.
Well, I mean, even John Ryan, which is pretty big, doesn't have that much foul territory. Mm-hmm. You go play at UNO, you go play at South Alabama.
Oh, it's massive.
And it's like another field. Mm-hmm. And so a ball gets away from the catcher, and it's, I mean, you're like,
if you got a guy that can run, you got a chance at two bases, certainly first to third, maybe not second to home, but oh, you're right. It's different, and it's.
Well, that pop up right there. Carson just kind of flared one over.
Oh, that would have been an out. That would have been an out at UNO.
That's
certainly.
A dead out. Yeah. So, I like playing on those stadiums with younger kids because it forces the game to be the game. You don't get to hit again, buddy. You missed it. But it's a special. I like our summers when we get to do that. In the fall, we do something different. We stay around town. We'll use, Holy Cross. We'll use John Ryan Stadium. That ball's hammered.
That is line down the left
That's
field line. Is it fair? It is. It's
fair.
off the wall.
They're going to try to score Lambert.
And
he's going to be tight.
This is going to be a tight play at the
Nice
plate,
play.
and the throw is
He got
in
him.
time. I tell you what, a terrific job
was a
there.
great
Was
play.
that Rodriguez that cut it? Yeah, Rodriguez came across and made that cutoff, and almost in one motion made the throw home. I tell you what, the little bit we have seen of Rodriguez thus far, I am very impressed.
He is clearly the best player on the diamond. You can see that. He's also one of the most physical. You can see that. He's got high IQ. The fact that he got himself in that position to cut that ball off, and if you're Gibbs, anytime a ball gets to the gap, I want the ball to go to Rodriguez's glove. I don't want anybody else throwing it. That was a crazy good play to stop a run.
So it's 4-2 now as we head to the bottom of the third. A chance to remind you that tonight's coverage of Crescent City Sports is presented by Omega Concrete Coatings. Put an end to ugly concrete by transforming the surface of your garage, patio, or pool deck. To get a free, no-hassle quote, call 877-363-8459 or visit OmegaConcreteCoatings.com.
I will be calling Omega Concrete Coatings when we're done with this. I have an absolute need for that.
I need to probably get everything out of my garage first before I do that.
I mean, in South Louisiana, especially New Orleans, with the ground move, jeez, what a good business. Yeah, that was an exceptional defensive play. I mean, it was like Jeter back in like the 96, 97 World Series.
I remember when he exactly.
He came out of nowhere, threw it off balance, and then threw a strike, and then Kiefer Lowry made the tag up the line. It was everything worked there, and it had to work almost to perfection, or that run scores. Because today the catcher can't stand in the path. Right back in the day,
so you got to wait.
You have to wait. So he had to wait to see where that ball would end up.
He had to be very quick about it, and then got in there and got in position, made a quick take. Look, if you're going to have an older guy, and we mentioned he graduated in 24. If you're going to have an older guy, it's a great place to have it. Is behind the plate, certainly.
I mean, he's a field. I mean, Kiefer Lowry's a field general.
And here we go. It's cliche, but the guy makes an unbelievable defensive play. As you
He's
saw
the next guy
Rodriguez,
up.
and he's the leadoff guy in the next inning. Rodriguez singled and scored back in the first.
Yeah, you could see the bat moves off his shoulder just a little different than the other guys. And also you could see there's more physical to come. When I look at these guys in the summer, you can see their shoulder blades. And, when they get a little older, you don't see those shoulder blades anymore.
Right.
They've pushed out a little bit. So he's going to be a good player. And watching him, he looks like a ULL kind of Southeastern, guy. If he plays with his hair on fire.
Two balls and a strike to Rodriguez. And it's 3-1.
To be fair to anybody listening, he never played for NOCA. Like, I don't know that kid.
Right.
Like, if I
went to Pope John Paul.
Pope John
and I
Paul
imagine
kid.
you get it. There's primarily your concentration has been on the South Shore.
Mainly. Just because those are the guys that have school opportunities in the summer that are really good. Like playing Jesuit baseball in the summer, playing Brother Martin baseball in the summer, that's really good baseball. There's nothing wrong with that. Whereas you kind of make it out. Some schools don't do a lot. Their league that they play in might be really geared towards younger kids.
And, with the Crescent City Sports Prep Summer League, we had a number of teams from the North Shore that played
I saw that.
this year. In fact, Pope John Paul didn't play this year, but they played a year ago and got to the championship game against Brother Martin Case for Kids in last year's final. So they had a tremendous summer. That's a strike to Gavin Berry. It's 0-1. Gavin
Berry again. He's on that Little League World Series team back that won it.
Talking about that, of course, with Larry Gibbs. He's been the president of East Bank Little League for really since its inception. That drops in.
Look at this.
Try and make a play
I
at
think they got
second,
it.
and he just got in there.
That was
nice hustle down the line by Rodriguez. That was a bang play though at second base, but he was in no man's land. You got to play it like it's going to be caught. You got to get back to first base.
There's nowhere to go on that as a runner, except you just got to hope you can make it. And the truth is, Adrian Lamberg in right field picked that up on one hop off of the grass and shifted his feet and threw a laser. That was a really good play. And if we had the replay booth, I'd make him call it.
There you go. Peyton Stubbs steps in and takes a strike. Stubbs had a sacrifice fly his first time up.
Hit it well though, so he's seeing the ball a little bit. He just got behind in the count here.
That is lined into left field, a base hit. This may get to the wall. Yep. One run is in. Second runner coming to third. Danny Ream's going to wave him home. It's going to be a 2-run double for Stubbs, and this ball game is tied.
There you go.
So Stubbs has driven in 3 thus far this evening. Had the sac fly in the first, and now a 2-run double here to make it a 4-4 ball game.
NOCA would still be hitting if Rodriguez doesn't make that play. They'd still be out there.
Yeah, that
you know
could
what I mean?
be. No doubt. That's the kind of thing you talk about. How sometimes defense can change momentum at times. That's one of those situations. Salter from Aggio steps in and swings and misses. It's 0-1.
Luca and Jacob Stevens were teammates at one point at Holy Cross. So and then there's a Holy Cross catcher as well right now. So everything going on.
Everything on your screen pretty much there.
That's right.
It's all Tigers right now.
It's all Holy Cross Tigers.
Great run by
Cal.
Cal and the Tigers this year as the 2 seed got all the way to the semifinals. You saw the entire semifinal series with Brother Martin right here on Crescent City Sports. That is lifted down the left field line, but that's headed foul.
Yeah, parking lot, but hammered. Yeah, Holy Cross, had a very young team 2 years ago, and they lost arguably one of their best players to some other stuff, and then they got that player back last year, as well as everybody got older. So, he had a nice group that was ready, and Cal, and his dad is over there too. Kenny, those guys love baseball, and they love to practice baseball, and they love to teach baseball. And you're just not going to
talk about a baseball family that is headed towards the gap and will get down. An attempted diving effort out there
by
to no avail.
Fulton, yeah,
and it's another double, and they'll switch places on the base paths, and the Cardinals take a 5-4 lead here in the bottom of the third.
Yeah, that was tough. He just hacked one into the parking lot, so you wouldn't think that he's going to fade one into the gap. So he probably drew Sage off a little bit. But Holy Cross, those guys do such a really good job together. They're very deliberate in their approach, and they're very mindful. And they know their players. I talk to Cal all the time, and he'll talk about his players. And I'm always surprised a little bit that he knows, this kid in 7th grade, blah, blah, he knows everything about him. So it's a unique place to coach baseball because you don't stop in 8th grade. You go all the way down to 5th.
Well, no, you go all the way to kindergarten now. Yeah, they are K through 12, and they are now all on the Paris Avenue campus as well. So you can find out at an early age. Now, do they all stay for 13 years?
Right.
Perhaps that's every family's choice, but certainly some good things happening there at Holy Cross. New administration coming in, led by Justin Fleetwood, and certainly some good things happen. They've seen some success on the athletic fields as well. The football team was a number 1 seed in the playoffs a couple of years ago. You had a great run in baseball this year. It was the number 2 seed to get to the semifinals. They were 1 game away from playing for a state championship, which, look, we know Jesuit's done it, Rummel's done it, okay? But the others, Brother Martin Wayne, they got to a state championship game for the first time since 1996 this year.
Right.
So that pitch is inside. It's 3-2 right now to Cameron DeRoche. Started this game on the mound. A little rally right there is taking him off the hook. Foul tip at the plate.
Not many of these guys have played in a 9-inning game in their career. I remember when I was in high school, Legion, when you got to the Southeast Regional, turned into a 9-inning game.
Yep.
And it felt like you were here forever. And then when you got into college, and everything in college is a 9-inning game except for maybe that back end on a doubleheader, it is a different ballgame.
Yeah, but the only time they don't now is if they've got to play a doubleheader on getaway day.
Like,
But
that's right.
even then, it's, everything's.
That's right.
Yeah. It used to be maybe a 9-7 or something like that.
That's right.
Most have done away with that now as DeRoche swings and misses at that one for the first out of the third inning, and Bryson Keller will step in.
Yeah, we absolutely, like, that 9 inning changes everything. So we talk about that a little bit in the summer. We never get to play it. Now in the fall, we'll play a unique style where we go what's called 5 batters, and part of that is we don't want pitchers to throw too much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Jacob threw last inning. He's now starting to labor a little bit. He's throwing a few more extra pitches than he probably wanted to, but he's in great shape. It's the summer. He's been throwing all week. He's been throwing all, since the prep season. It's not the fall where you're not throwing 5 days tossing leading up to this, So we just go 5 batters. We throw over a Rapsodo. We let the kids see their spin. And then when you're done with your outing, you're done. There's no, let's come back on Sunday and throw again and try to win a tournament. I just think in the fall that's dangerous, and I think it's really important that you understand these are not your kids.
Mm-hmm.
These belong to their schools, and that's where winning baseball matters the most, and their jobs are impacted by it. So, our job really is how do we get each kid developed and ready to go back to their school better than when we found them.
Yeah, everything you see outside of the spring high school season or into the spring college season, those other 8 months of the year are all developmental. Whether it is,
they should be.
When it's what it should be. Now it's sometimes it's not. Now what you're seeing, what the Cardinals are doing, obviously getting ready for a tournament next week. They are trying to go win. But up until that point, everything you're doing is trying to help you get in a position. It's great that you're winning along the way, and you are keeping score. And you hear that all the time. There is a scoreboard out there. You see the score bug on your screen right now. We are keeping score, okay? But it's all about getting at bats, getting innings, and getting ready. Finding out who the right players are to be able to put out there when you're trying to go win that tournament next week in Panama City. As that is into the gap in left center field, and that's going to get down and 2-hop the wall, and it's going to be another double.
Yeah, I always talk about this as saying, how many opportunities can we deliver? And that's it for the player. And if it means that you might lose the game because you keep a guy in a game, it means you might lose the game because you don't pinch hit for a guy at the end of the game, or even if you don't bunt when the book says you may want to bunt here, right?
Right.
I'd rather take that bunt situation and grab him and say, let me tell you, this is where you'd bunt, but this is also where your coach might tell you swing away and hit a double, right? If you want to break the game open.
Sure.
Let's hit a double, right? And then if he doesn't do it, you throw your hands up and go, okay, no big deal. But like Larry Gibbs was talking about, and we have a mound visit right now, Larry was talking about empowering kids and people development.
Yeah. You've got to find it. This is the time.
This is where you can do it.
This is the time to find out when you get in that situation or when that young man is in that situation in the spring.
That's right.
He's been through it
He's
before.
Done it. He's done it.
He's done it. Yeah.
He's got a coping mechanism for it. He can control his heart rate, all the other good stuff. And even big picture, Larry's talking about the guy hugging him in the grocery. I'm a godfather a bunch of times over. And it's only once by a family member.
Right.
So it's a lot of kids that, now that I'm older, have made families of their own. But part of that is that they truly, they felt like, man, somebody believed in me at that moment. This is Kiefer.
Kiefer Harry stepping in. Doubled his first time up, was stranded at third back in the second inning. Already in this game, we have seen 5 doubles by the Cardinals. Now, again, look, Miley is a smaller ballpark as opposed to some of the places that you're going to play, the college facilities.
I would say that for home runs,
this
but
has got high school dimension. Yeah, you're right, but again, you're playing, you're playing outfielders as it relates to those fences. You're not playing them up against the fence. They know that they can get back to the fence. So sometimes you get something, down to the, you get something down in the gap. It's got a chance to be a double as well. 1-2, the count here to Harry. Stepped off first.
He's had some good counts. He's gotten ahead of guys, and then he's just thrown the ball over the middle. And I think that's something that, again, a Gibbs team is going to punish you for that. Whereas we can go play, the
That's
Johnny
strike three called.
We can go play the Johnny Utah's 17U, right? That's a point blank reference for those guys. But we could play those guys, and they don't have that at the plate, right? So to me, yeah, now they're up 6-4. Oh no, right? But the reality is Jacob just got better. We got better because you can't make those mistakes. You just learned about mistakes. Whereas you throw that same pitch where we're playing this weekend, it's probably a foul ball or a pop-up. You know what I mean? It's not getting punished that bad.
I think we're going to have a special presentation coming up here in just a moment off to the first base side.
Ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention.
Danny Ream is going to present a jersey to his longtime assistant, Kenny Goodlett Sr., who's been a part of the Cardinals for the first 9 years and getting his 10th anniversary jersey here tonight.
That's great.
Let's give a nice round of applause for our
Kenny's son, head coach at Jesuit.
Yep.
to the Cardinals program.
I don't think he's here. It might be. He's going. I'll tell you what, Kenny, his son's going to Hawaii. So he's taking a family and getting out of Dodge.
That's good. Good.
Good for him.
Good for him. Look, you got that, and that's, it's part of the thing about the whole schedule now in the summer. These, not just the players want to get some time, the coaches want to be able to get some time. And that's one of the things now, effectively, they've got a lot of the month of July before they've got to be back on campus, the first week of August to do what it is they're going to do. And if you get a chance to get away, you get a chance to get away.
I can remember the first off season that I was in high school that we even attempted to try to lift weights, right, or do something conditioning-wise. And it was in 92. And, God bless his soul, he passed away. Bernie Greenbaum was our assistant coach. He went and got the Mississippi State workout book and basically tried to just photocopy and go, we're going to do this, right? And we'd come after school and lift a couple days a week, and we would just do it. And it was the first time that you asked a baseball coach out of season to say you need to still be around your guys, right? And I do think that we're asking way too much of our high school baseball coaches. And I think they're asking more of themselves to just stay in the vein of competitive. Like, I think in the fall, yeah, they should lift, no doubt. If you're a player, you should lift. But is it reasonable to say, hey, coach, we're not going to pay you an extra stipend for it, but we need you to stay after school, right, after you teach, and monitor the weight room with your kids? I got, same thing in the summers. Like, in Georgia, high school coaches can't coach their teams in the summer.
Right.
So I just think we have to – these guys are going to get burnt a little bit, and it can become overbearing. It's not like they're paying high school coaches $1 million a year. They're not they're not at the Yankees or wherever, but or college ball. So I think it's getting harder, and high school coaches are asked to be, like a Swiss Army knife, and they have to wear every hat inside the program. And I think that's a lot to ask, of those guys.
We have a new pitcher in the game, Jake Gegenheimer.
NOCA guy, Holy Cross guy.
Holy Cross.
Yep, just came back he was at Nunez this year. He took a red shirt. I watched him pitch in the fall. Again, nice kid, great kid, good body. Ball wants to jump out, right-hander. He can run it up to 88, 89. The thing about Geggs that was interesting for me was going into his senior year, he was part of that Holy Cross team 2 years ago that I said was really young. Well, he was a senior. He just had not had a lot of experience on the mound. They had some older guys, I bet Lance Love and some other guys, the Welch kid from Tulane. They gobbled up innings,
sure.
And so why would you give him the ball on the varsity? So he's kind of putzing along. His dad tells me going into the fall, look, we want to play in the fall. We're going to get better, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, I think he can pitch at the next level somewhere. And his dad, I'll never forget this, like, I don't know if he wants to do that. And I said, well, look, do this. Put in the work to get better. Put in the work to see what you can be. And then if someone takes a pull on him, someone talks to him, watch what it does to him, right? Because he's telling you, I don't know, Dad, I just want to win for Holy Cross, which is admirable. Sure enough, the moment Nunez gave him a call, it's like a pilot light. It went on, and then you saw that fire.
You never know.
You never know.
It's like, look.
You just don't know. And going to be a tailor-made for the shortstop.
Yeah, ground ball to short, across the diamond to first in time, and there's one gone here in the top of the fourth. You're right, and you never know. All it takes
What's the catalyst?
is one person to say,
man, I think
you're good
pretty
enough.
good. I think
You're good enough.
Yeah.
And that's,
Look, I was in.
I mean, there's no bidding wars in these things.
No.
Well,
They can be.
with NIL coming along now, I don't know.
Those
what
are
that
different
means.
guys.
It's
yeah.
different, but the point being, all it takes is one coach at the next level to say, you know what, you might be able to do
This is years ago when my son was a 15-year-old, I think, or a 14-year-old. We were playing in the World Wood Bats in Atlanta, and Jake Gautreaux had just gotten over to Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes by the dugout and he's watching our guys and the other guys. And the kid on the other team, he'd already committed. And I've known Jake, since he played at Tulane and good friends. And so we're goofing off and talking about where you're going to dinner tonight and stuff like that. And he takes a minute to grab a kid on our team, and he was a catcher named Jaden Calora, who caught at Nicholls State the last few years. And he tells Jaden Calora through the fence, we're there just kind of chatting and talking. And he goes, man, you really receive well. Like you could catch right now all of our guys, right? And I don't think anybody had ever told Jaden how good he was, other than everybody who's in his corner anyway.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And just that was a nice slider right there.
Just up a little bit. It's a ball and 2 strikes now.
You saw that ball. It was pretty good. But it really did, not that Jaden didn't try hard, he did and work hard, but it turned something else on in him. And Jaden Calora, I'll never forget, when he announced he was going to go to Nicholls State and he got the offer there. And that was hard. That was during COVID, and they still got him. He was a 4-year player for them. Started a lot as a freshman. But that day, I remember it just lit this fire inside of the kid.
2-2 is fouled off.
Yeah. Falterman.
And Jake, by the way, of course, there were changes at Mississippi State. Jake is now the hitting coach and the recruiting coordinator at East Carolina.
Carolina.
He will be making his way back to his old stomping grounds at Tulane next spring.
He was really good as a player. Like he was.
Oh, no doubt.
He was really good to watch. He was a Golden Spikes finalist. I remember when Chad Suter was coaching at Tulane, he called me and he said, I got a guy who thinks he's going to hit 30 home runs for Tulane this year. I said, really? I came out and I met him. Like, he's not that big. And then I watched him hit and I went, oh, never mind. It's been a pretty good,
South
pretty good
Texas,
battle.
McAllen, Texas. That's fouled down the left field line out of play, and we'll do it again. And that 2001 team, I mean, it's, being around that Tulane program for a long time, to see that, and then next year will be 25 years since that 2001 team
I know.
went to Omaha and finally broke through for Tulane.
That's in play.
Yeah, ground ball to third. Handled well.
Nice
Throw across in time, and there's 2 gone.
That was a pretty good bat by Sage. I think it was like a 7, 8, 9 pitch at bat.
Mm-hmm.
Sage is a left fielder for St. Martin's, and he's had a nice summer too. I mean, the small school guys get a chance to come and compete against these other guys. They go back to St. Martin's, and
no doubt this is
quality.
These are quality at bats,
ABs.
and they're going to get. It's going to help them. So Austin Schott steps in.
Yep.
Out of De La Salle.
Yep, he's their catcher. I watch him. He's athletic enough. I actually think he might be an outfielder. He's got a big arm. I mean, we've had him in the outfield a couple of times. He's made some big throws in the outfield. Plays a little second base. Just an athlete, right? Tall, lanky. Has a little juice in the bat. I just don't think these guys see enough of a guy like Gegenheimer, right?
Now, how hard? We're seeing right now. You could see a little bit of it on your screen. The batters are in the shade. The pitchers are in the sun.
Yeah, that's not.
That makes it very, very. I mean, it's one thing to be all in the sun, all in the shade, but the ball is coming out of the sun and into the shade. That makes it hard to pick up sometimes.
I tell you, when it gets hard when the pitcher can tunnel it. So when the pitcher can throw a couple of pitches that are in the same tunnel, and then now all of a sudden you're looking for what are called pitch flight discrepancies, like how the ball flies, that gets really hard. And now, when you have these shadows that get casted, sometimes you just can't see those discrepancies. They'll blur. So when you have a pitcher that can do that, those shadows become really difficult. Other than that, it's really out to hand. You know,
Count runs full 3 and 2.
there's a couple of studies done by it, and it's just by ophthalmologists and behavioral neuroscientists. They'll look at it and say, well, you really don't see anything as the ball gets on you. By that time, it's over, right?
Tap down the third base line and a roll foul.
So the idea is that the harder you throw, the less visual images you give to the batter. That's why velocity matters. That and because it can scare the hell out of you too. It can leave a hole.
Well,
in
it's
There's that.
Of course, obviously, you're not moving the mound. It's still 60 feet 6 inches. Okay, and if you're throwing, a couple of miles an hour harder than the next guy, it's simple math. It's going to get on you a few hundredths or thousandths of a second quicker, and that changes your reaction time, your ability to be able to pick up what you see is coming. You've got to be able to, do it that much quicker. And that is strike 3 called right at the knees. Good pitch there. And a 1-2-3 inning here in the top of the fourth. That's our first 1-2-3 inning of the evening. Bottom of the fourth coming up. It is 6-4. The Gibbs Construction Cardinals leading NOCA Select here on Crescent City Sports. And a chance for us to remind you of tonight's coverage on Crescent City Sports presented by Campus Center. Our thanks to all of the sponsors that help make not just this event and this broadcast possible this evening. So it's look, you're seeing some of the best in our area at all levels. Whether it's college freshmen going to be sophomores, it's high school seniors going to be college freshmen, and then on the NOCA side, it's high school juniors, sophomores, freshmen about to move up another level. And I think I think you make a good point. At whatever the level is, it's sometimes a birthday happens, and that can be a good thing. It's just you see it. I imagine you see it. If there's times you've got a lot of these guys coming through your facilities 365 days a year. But if you don't see them for 3 months for some reason, maybe they're maybe it's the spring when they're spending a lot of time just focused with their team, and all of a sudden they come back to you when that's over and you happen to see them for the first time. Imagine in some cases a lot of changes. Yeah, and you don't know when it's going to happen. Somebody might grow 6 inches one summer or whatever it is. You never know.
I was very pubescent as like a 13-year-old, 14-year-old. So I could handle myself with guys who were 16, 17, 18 because I was pretty pubescent. We see kids that are not, they get their puberty early, they get it late, and it's just a matter of it's going to come. It's just when. So what we always talk about is you can coach and teach actions, movements, behaviors. I can't teach physical. I can't teach that, but we can get the actions right. And then when the physical comes in, your physicality shrinks the diamond, and now you become one of those guys again. So that's pretty good. I actually think it can hurt you too to be too physical too young, because there's not a lot of coaching courage with those guys. Like guys are hitting home runs out of Little League or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's great, but when the field gets bigger and now you're not as physical as everybody else, what are you? And so it kind of can go every which way. But yeah, you can still see there's more physical to come, and even the Gibbs guys, who are 19 or 20 years old, there's more to come.
Leading off for the Cardinals, and the bottom of the fourth, number 3.
So it's the bottom of the lineup here with Cantrell in the 9-hole. Leading off. And again, both of these teams are using 10-man lineups this evening. You're not going to do it next week. You're not going to do it at other tournaments, but this is part of the developmental process. You're just trying to get some guys some at-bats in these games.
A lot of what we play and Gibbs plays too, until they go to Panama City, and maybe in Panama, they'll let you do that, right? Because it really isn't an advantage to your team to hit 10. It's better to hit just 9. But we look at it as a script every time we get out there. Who's pitching? Who's playing what? When do we get them at bats? And if something happens in the game where we couldn't do that, we couldn't deliver that for a player, then he's the first up the next day.
Right.
And that's how I believe it should be run for us. Now, at Gibbs, they'll do the same thing, and then their summer will condense into a very competitive, we're trying to win this thing, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, what's impressive to me is, what they were able to do last summer. We'll get into it as Will Muller draws a walk there with 1 out. So 1 out runner at first, and back around to the top of the lineup, and Blaze Rodriguez, who has been a great table setter and a terrific glove that we've seen thus far. He is 1 for 1. He's singled, he's walked, he's scored twice, and really ignited both of the scoring innings that the Cardinals have had thus far. They got 2 in the first, 4 in the third.
Yep.
And Rodriguez is, from the leadoff spot, has been the table setter.
He's been in the middle of all of it. Yeah. On the mound now is Alex Sherman. He's St. Martin's guy. He's a lefty. Said he's got a couple of offers. He's 84. He's got up to 85. So he's not a flame-throwing lefty, but he also, ball runs out of his hand pretty good.
You don't have to be. Why is this? And this is one that, talk about crafty left-handers. There's never any crafty right-handers out there,
I would
right?
debate that. I've met Barthmelius.
Well, there you go. Look, Barth's a good friend, and that ball is hit into right field, opposite field, and gone.
Yeah.
Rodriguez went to the opposite field. Now, that may have been. That's his first home run of the – that's a Miley home run. That's his first home run of the summer.
Yeah. No, good ball. He poked it. Wind's kind of blowing, not much, but he hit it pretty well, and it's 328 in the alley. Mm-hmm. So this is a really good, 15-year-old high school park. If you make a mistake and a guy hits it good, you can hit a legitimate home run here.
Right.
I think once you get to about 19 years old, this becomes like a Dixie Youth or Cooperstown field.
And it's like you start to feel like a PGA pro trying to play a pitch and putt out there. You're gonna.
That's right.
That misses high to Gavin Berry, who has walked, singled, and scored twice.
Yep.
He's kind of look. Rodriguez has gotten things started. Berry's followed up behind him by getting on base and really kind of igniting the inning. That misses way outside. It's 2-0.
You could see some of the guys, even on the other team, they go back in there grabbing the rosin. So you can see some of them having issues with balls. It's humid, muggy. We see it all summer.
That's a strike. It's 2-1.
There's nothing worse than throwing and feeling like the ball, you couldn't feel the ball. And then hitting, there's nothing worse than knowing the pitcher can't feel the ball. That's a pretty tough one, too. That was a good breaking ball by Sherman.
Fouled off. It's 2-2.
Yeah, we played here in 2020 during the COVID pandemic, and we put together a high school safe distancing 4 games in a row that we put on TV, and I just get hit by a pitch. And that was, this reminds me of that, that atmosphere of let's just get them on the diamond and play. We'd been sitting around for months, and all these kids were seniors or juniors, and they just lost their season.
Yep.
So how do we get them all out there?
That was obviously unfortunate. And, unlike JUCO and college where they basically – you had a COVID year, and really that's impacted a lot of things. You couldn't do that in high school. You graduate from high school, you graduate from high school.
It's funny.
That's it.
I waited for the LHSA to actually do something and say, hey, in response to this, if you'd like to repeat a year, you can. I was waiting for that.
That would have been,
giving me the option. You don't have to. You want to graduate and get out of here, fine. If you want to go to Rummel another year and spend another $10K, do it. You know what I mean? If you want to hang out in high school a little longer, do it. I was waiting to see if that was going to hit.
Well, it's one of those things. Somebody would have needed to propose it, and I guess it wasn't. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I just remember on the sidelines thinking, well, what are the high school associations going to do? Because if you're going to log jam it in college, you better fix it.
And well, as that is back to the screen, and that will allow Berry to get to second base on the wild pitch. It's, I guess, at the end of the day, like you said, they built in provisions on the college level because they could.
Correct.
And I'm not sure you could do that on the high school level because, again, you're still –
I think
they built in – had we not had
pitch.
it, that is a good pitch, and swing and a miss. They'll throw down to first. Nice aggressive base running, and Berry's going to go take third on the play.
Shot had to avoid the bat to get to the blocked ball.
And as soon as that ball was thrown, took off.
The only thing you could have done there, if you wanted to mitigate that, is you pump fake it.
Right.
But it's a dead out at first base.
Right. Go get the out.
Plus, it's 2 outs. It's fine.
Right. So Salta Formaggio steps in. He's had a big night. He's 2 for 2 with 2 doubles and 2 RBIs and a run scored.
And I'm looking at Sage Falterman hugging the line again.
Understandably so. But, yeah, there was, while unfortunate, I don't know that there was a way out. I mean, look, I was in Lake Charles for the high school boys basketball championships that were being played with no one in the building. They were playing for a state championship with no one there. They didn't allow parents. They didn't allow bands. They allowed officials. They allowed media members. And they allowed players. And that was it. And, I mean, they got a chance to play for a championship, but obviously it wasn't the atmosphere they wanted to be able to play in front of. That is ripped down the left field line, but foul.
Yeah. Now watch, it's going to suck Sage to the line again. He's going to do that and then open up the gap. I look back in hindsight's 2020, and I'll say that out loud, but what should have happened was they should have pressed pause. They should have not made any ruling, and at the end say, we're sorry, you just lost your year. Because that's what we said to high school kids.
Right. Yeah, but
finish your college.
If Zoom and things like that, obviously that obviously took off and allowed business to continue to be able to operate.
That's right.
But if you wouldn't have had that and the kids wouldn't have been able to finish, that would have been a difference. If they wouldn't have been able to do what it is they needed to do to graduate, now that would have been a different situation. As ball four.
And that's what they figured out. They figured out how to graduate you. So let them graduate.
Then they graduated, and that's it. Now
same thing with high school. We figured out to give you a year. So I think the NCAA stepping in saying, well, let's give everybody an extra year.
And look, and now we're finally cycling out of that now with those guys. And in terms of those numbers, and again, now we've got the portal and everything else that's changed.
34
we could sit here and talk all day about what it's, all the different things that are happening. And there was a lot of conversation SEC Media Days about everything that's going on. And we're still not 100% solid on what everything's going to look like as DeRoche steps in.
What I haven't seen are any facts or figures on how many kids
I'm sorry, it's not. That's actually
who's that?
New hitter in there. That's Cade Lacoste from Pope John Paul II, who's headed to LSU Eunice.
There you go. That's a nice program.
Yep.
But, I haven't seen any facts or figures on how many folks actually ended up getting more redshirted, right? I mean, how many more redshirts do we have because of this? So they say, well, it cycles out.
But the point is, when I say cycling out, I mean, the fifth year, anybody who got that year is now probably out of school for the most part, although they continue to
shouldn't be there.
They continue to find other years, and you continue to see other lawsuits go on, whether it's what Diego Pavia did at Vanderbilt that basically, now junior college doesn't count. You're going to, it's and now there's even some challenging from like the Division II level saying, we don't want Division II to count. It's just going to be Division I. Okay, so we're not done with this. This continue the finish line continues to move. So to speak.
That's right.
2-2 is the count here. I just check that. It's 3-2, and that is ball 4. Now the bases are loaded.
And that is why every kid on this diamond and coming up everywhere, their main focus should be, how do I just get better?
Get better.
Just get better, because you can't control the other stuff.
Yeah, get to a place where you've obviously got the ability to get an education, get a degree. No matter what. I don't know if I'd love to tell you that there's players on this diamond who may play the game until they're in their 30s and be in the big leagues. Okay, well, that could certainly happen. Okay, it has happened to some out of this area as Keller takes a strike. Big spot here with the bases loaded, but getting that education and positioning yourself, be able to get the education for free or at a significant discount because you've got the ability to play baseball. That's what you've got to do. And there's a lot of great places, just like we always have the conversations about the different private schools in the area. And there's a lot of great choices to make. That's right. It's the same thing on the college level.
That's right.
0-2 is the count here to Keller in a big spot with the bases loaded and 2 outs.
Spun him.
That is fouled off the first base side.
Those are good breaking balls. He's got him.
Yeah. Made him waste wasted a good 0-2 pitch. And that is lined into left field, and that's going to be caught, and that will end the inning, but not before the Cardinals come up with 2 runs on just one base hit.
Yep, big home run by
the 2-run. homer by Blaze Rodriguez, no errors, and 3 runners left. We are through 4 innings. It is 8-4, the Cardinals. We mentioned the Cardinals' history here over the last decade and how we got to tonight. And you look back on 10 great years of Cardinals baseball, and they've had a lot of success, and they had it quickly. The first 2 years, 2016 and 2017, winning American Legion state championships. The second one of those, you might recognize that background. Right here at Miley, they finished that tournament. 2019, maybe their best, most successful team of all. State champions, regional champions, going down to Tampa, Florida, and then getting to the American Legion World Series, where they got all the way to the semifinals. A great run for that 2019 team. Then in 2023, winning a Connie Mack Regional at Tulane's Greer Field at Turchin Stadium to be able to go on and play in the Connie Mack World Series. And then a year ago, the Grand Slam World Series, 18U champions, having to win a triple header on the final day of the tournament. And what a special run that was. And we mentioned that 2019 team going all the way to the American Legion World Series and getting to the semifinals, a chance to play on national television. And one of the guys that was part of that team, Kobe McWilliams, joins us now up here in the booth. Tell us a little bit about that 2019 team, your teammates, and what it meant to be able to make that run all the way to Shelby, North Carolina.
Yeah, it was a great time. But, first of all, thanks for having me here, Lenny. 2019 team, that was a great time. A lot of guys came together from around the city, guys that, a lot of us had played together when we were younger and then went off to separate high schools. And I think it was really a cool experience, be able to join back on the same team, right after we all graduated high school. And it was a really good time, winning state championship and then going to Florida, playing the regional tournament. And, had to pull out some tough wins there and then went on to North Carolina to the World Series. But overall, I just think it was a great experience. And, I couldn't be more thankful to Coach Danny Ream. And I think we were Pedal Valve Cardinals at the time.
That's right.
Yep.
Thanks to that sponsor as well. And, continued thanks to Mr. Larry Gibbs, for sponsoring the team, as we go on today.
So just take us back a little bit to that summer. I mean, obviously this was a program that was just 4 years old at the time, had won 2 state championships. You guys were the 3rd state champion. But to be able to break through in the regional and be able to get to the World Series, just talk about, first of all, that week and making that run to position yourself to be able to go to the World Series and what that meant with that group.
Yeah. No, throughout the whole season, Coach Ali, Coach Danny had told us, they had been to the regionals before, and unfortunately didn't make it to the World Series. So that, that was kind of our goal, was to finally break through the regional tournament, make it to the Legion World Series. It's a big event, televised on ESPN. It was a really great experience. But I think just going throughout that season, that was our goal. And, we ended up in the state tournament, actually. We almost lost a few games there, and the run almost ended there. But, it was great. We ended up pulling them out. And then going to the regionals, we just had one goal of winning that and going to the World Series for the first time in, I guess, Cardinals history, if you want to say.
Oh,
right. That ball was lined in the right field. It'll one-hop the wall and into second base.
Double
with a stand-up double. Brothers continues to swing a good bat here. He had a 2-run single back in the second inning and comes up with the leadoff double here in the 5th. So you get to Shelby, and I think you guys go straight from the regional now to the World Series.
Straight from Tampa to Shelby.
And look, obviously some of the older that's relatively new, and that Shelby is hosting the Legion World Series, but they've embraced it. And obviously, it was 2012 when we were talking about the Gibbs when Emerson Gibbs led Retief Oil to that's going to be a single and an RBI is going to make this an 8-5 game, and that hit. That was
Marshall Serio.
With the hit to make it 8-5 here, back-to-back hits to lead off the 5th inning for NOCA. But so some teams, and of course the team out of Gonzales as well. Goche Amity has been there.
Right.
So we've had teams from Louisiana get there before, but just talk about that experience in Shelby, where they have really embraced the Legion World Series, and it's like. I don't know that you can compare it to anything that we've seen here. What was that experience like?
Yeah, so, Shelby's done a great job, hosting the Legion World Series and everything. We went straight there from Tampa, had a host family. It was a local church and everything. provided meals, stuff like that for us, and had gatherings for us. But it was great, just to represent Louisiana, to represent the state after winning the state tournament here, and then playing teams from other states. I think we ended up losing to North Dakota in the semifinals, but it was just great to represent the state, and obviously it kind of messes up the starting college on time, especially your freshman year and everything. But I'm not sure any of us were complaining about that at the time.
Another base hit.
Yeah,
Alex
ground
Sherman.
ball, ground through in the right field for a hit. Now there's runners at first and second with nobody outs. That's three consecutive hits.
My
I
thing
should say.
remember about that year was, you guys had a couple really tight games in the state, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and it was, and look, the idea is that for years Legion, I personally think was not done the way it was intended to be done. For years here, when it started, it wasn't really supposed to be Jesuit be a team, Brother Martin be. It wasn't supposed to be that
Well,
way.
it's not. It's on a lot of other places. That's
not
how
what they
it's
do.
done.
Right?
Yeah.
So what we said was
That's a line drive, base hit into the corner in left
Joe
field.
Bosco, going to see if it scores too. Yeah, that should score Alex as well.
Yeah, it's going to
Here
be an
comes Sherman.
8-7 ball game after that 2-run double by Bosco.
But the spirit of it was Legion was a post, right? And then kids from all over could play for the post. We got a hold of it and said, no, we're going to do it by tribe, right? Which is fine. It became a good summer system. The idea, though, then was, how hard it is now for that school to then leave the state and be successful?
Right, yeah.
Because you're playing against people that don't create their own boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't limit themselves.
Yeah, we went to the World Series, and, pretty much every team there was, just like us, a conglomeration of, a bunch of high schools.
But even those guys had college guys that came back.
Yeah,
they
had some guys coming back from college. I'm pretty sure we faced a Utah guy at one point.
Right.
But just those teams were great, and obviously we had a great team in 2019 too. Kind of helped us get there. I wish there was more of, like you were saying, being able to put a team together. To try to make it to that every year.
I always like when you play, and you probably felt this way too, growing up playing high school ball around here. I played at Jesuit in the 90s, and I played on a JPRD team when I was 15. That was like in my head, like the greatest experience I ever had as a player, because they came from everywhere. My son's godfathers are from that team, went to Brother Martin.
Yeah.
But I always thought, what if you did basically an all-star team by age of the local kids?
Yeah.
Sponsored it so nobody had to come out of pocket, right? And then take them to play in a meaningful, like, scouted event. You see what I mean? There isn't much for those types of teams to play. Like the Cardinals, they get to go play and they get to Panama City, and they find these things that are meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a big thing for me. I see a lot of times, like, after you graduate high school, the summer between that and college is a lot of times there's not much to do.
Not much.
And if there is, it's a lot of times it's not anything meaningful. You're just playing games just to stay.
It's like pickup games, and then you hope it doesn't rain.
Yeah, so it's nice to have something meaningful to do. Actually play towards trying to win an actual championship. In that one summer you have between college and high school, and then it's even better to do it. With guys you know from around the area that you didn't get to play with in a long time.
Yeah. Loyola's coach said recently, part of his run was the chemistry the team had, because there were some kids that were from the area but played together growing up.
Yeah.
And so they got a chance, like two kids out of Nicholls State. One was like the 3-hole, one was like the 5-hole. And both said, hey, we got one more year. You want to just go to Loyola and pop this out? Yeah. And then sure enough, like, the right ingredients are there. So I think, I like that idea. I love the idea of take boundaries down. Don't put them up in baseball, right? Because you never know. Your best friend in the world could be on that other team, and you don't know yet, you know? And so I've always liked that. But I love that run. I remember that run you guys made, and you guys would come into Big Easy and practice at Big Easy Sportsplex, and I'd throw you guys batting practice now and then.
Yep.
And I remember you when you were 12 and 11. So I've known you since you were, a little guy.
Yeah, a lot of guys we played travel ball with back in, 11U to 15U were on that same team in 2019.
The Breeze.
Playing back together, yeah.
That's it, baby.
Yeah.
13U Breeze, 12U Breeze.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was a great time.
Now batting number 33, Gavin Horn.
So
here's we go.
Cardinals going to the bullpen. It's Jack Conravy, out of Destrehan.
And you're going to start
BRCC.
seeing.
Yeah, we'll see some. We're going to see some other
position
players.
now.
We're going to see some. We're going to see some different pitchers along the way. Yeah.
That's why we wanted to make this a 9-inning game, You know, right now you have Gavin Korn coming up. He's going to be a sophomore, just finished his freshman year at Holy Cross. He's taking at bats now against a guy going to BRCC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's beautiful. And I think hopefully when Gavin gets older, you know, he remembers that and says, yeah, I want to play those younger guys because somebody did it for me.
Yeah. No, it's a great way to give back. You know, it's great to get experience at that age playing against older guys because, you know, with everything how college is going, you're going to be playing against older guys all day long.
You better figure that out now.
You get there as a freshman, you got 24-year-olds still in there.
I know it.
So you've got, you know, obviously a lot of baseball, you know, through your career. How did the summer of 2019 stack up against everything else that you did in your baseball playing career?
Yeah. You know, honestly, when I was in my college teams, we weren't very good for the most part. So we didn't really win any conference championships or anything. So I would have to say the summer 2019 was probably the best time I had playing baseball. You know, you're constantly on the road with the guys and, you know, just making friends with guys you knew of, but you didn't know them like that, like very well. But it was great to just make friends like that and, you know, being on the road constantly and going from here to Tampa to North Carolina without coming home was just it was just a great summer and long summer, but, you know, still great to be able to get to do that. And
you still talk to those guys?
Yeah. I actually, Joey Saucier texted me yesterday.
Joey Saucier, I love Joey
Saucier.
yesterday,
yeah.
One of the things that, you know, because you guys, again, you were talking about a time that, you know, the Cardinals were still in American Legion the first 6-7 years of this program. You were playing in a lot of these tournaments that the Cardinals are playing in now, but then you came back in the middle of the week and you were playing Legion games. That's a swing and a miss, on a good fastball right there, the first out here at the top of the fifth inning.
He's been playing 17U ball for us all summer. I'm trying to get him ready, you know, varsity ready, right? So the fact that he walked up there and took that hack, that's pretty impressive. You know, kid.
Got to be aggressive.
Here's Jackson DeGrease. He's out of Central Lafourche, so a little bit out of the area. Boy, can he hit a ton. So if he can get the bat head turned on something, you'll see it. He'll pitch tonight, too.
Rising junior.
Yep, he's a rising junior.
Swing and a miss at a fastball there. It's 0-1. So, you know, that was, you guys were playing probably maybe more games than what these guys are playing now because they're getting in maybe one in the middle of the week if they can, much like, you know, this game tonight. But you were probably playing a couple in the middle of the week and then going to some tournaments. Yeah, because of Legion. So you might have been playing, 7 games a week, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah, we played all the weekend games at the, you know, whatever local tournament we were playing at, and then 2 or 3 games during the week against, I think Hollandville was in our district, played them a lot. But, yeah, I think overall that summer we ended up playing a lot, probably, I want to say 40 games or so after everything was said and done. And, you know, I think it was great, you know, kind of really didn't stop playing and then went into college that fall.
Just walked right in.
Yeah.
It probably, you know, because one of the things that you can now, it's between – you know, all the different, you know, travel circuits and prep and whatever it is you're playing in the summer and things like that, that's a strikeout for the second out of the inning. You know, but going into a 56-game schedule, let's say at Division I or, you know, whatever it is, you know, at the college level that you're playing, but they're all pretty similar numbers there. I would imagine, especially over a 3-month span, that could be a pretty daunting task. Where you stay out there and play all day, but when you're playing those games, every one of them matters, and you know, there's a lot going into, you know, that summer where you're playing 40+ games in a 2.5 month span. That's a pretty good ramp up to help get you ready to be able to play college baseball as well.
Oh, it definitely is, and it definitely helps a lot when the games mean something. You know, it's a lot easier to get out there and, you know, want to play when something's on the line, you know, whether it's to advance the regional tournament or to the World Series, you know, try to win the World Series. So I think that was a big thing, and, you know, actually having something to play for, and rather than just, you know, playing meaningless games, just to stay playing.
Right. Yeah, it feels like a job when they turn into that. And quite frankly, I think when you get into college, there is a mindset shift, right? It's like, look, there's too many guys here that are too good, and I better treat this like a pro.
Yep.
So, yeah, we got an inner squad, and there's no umpires and a pitcher's calling balls and strikes. But if you can't get yourself right in the head to compete, then you need to not go play college ball. And that's my line to everybody. Like, at some point, you know, the luster wears off this stuff. And, you know, so you gotta figure it out. We'll go through the same dog days. That's why they call them the dog days of summer.
Yeah, I ended up playing 5 years of college ball in my career. And, you know, at the end of that 5th year, not going to lie, it was tough. But you kind of just got to get yourself ready because no one else will.
That's right.
If you don't, you won't be on the team much longer.
It's just It's a
So
supply and demand thing.
There's too many guys too good.
That's right.
To
Too much supply and
to not do what you can to
that's
stay
right.
out there.
If you don't like it, well, next guy up.
Yeah. We talked to Larry Gibbs about this when he was up in the booth a couple of innings ago, but the life lessons that you learned from being around baseball that have maybe helped you, get through college and get ready to move on to, the professional world now.
Yeah, definitely. I'm still taking stuff that I learned from playing ball, with me today. I'm still in school, and, I feel like the schedule of playing ball every day, especially in college, has really helped me with that.
Absolutely.
Moving on.
Yeah, you learn
In
how
terms
to
of just
schedule.
time management. And
It's the first time I'm not playing ball while still in school, and, so I feel like playing ball, put me on a strict schedule.
That's right.
Help me.
Here's Camber
better in
Keller
school.
real quick. Camber had a phenomenal summer. He plays for Brother Martin. Brother Martin, they have their summer league stuff, and then they play together as a school on the weekend. So we don't get Camber till the fall or later in the summer.
He was outstanding in the
He was
championship game
really
of the
good.
Crescent City Sports Prep Summer League. He drove in 5 runs, went 4 for 4.
I think he's probably their shortstop next year. He's really good. He's really young.
And he's a rising sophomore.
He's
He's going to be
worse
their
than
guy.
that. He
got a good
should
bird.
be a rising 9th grader.
Wow.
He's still 14 years old or 15. He is young, but he absolutely is one of those kind of electric. You look at him and he's kind of put together and he moves real well. All his actions on defense. I like this kid a whole lot. I think he's another guy at Brother Martin coming up that you're going to hear a lot about. Moving into the future.
That's one of the things that we mentioned on the broadcast a couple weeks ago in the finals of the Summer League was that, Brother Martin only had 4 rising seniors on their team.
Sure.
So, they obviously did what they did this past year and then won the Summer League the year before, won the Summer League this year, but you start looking ahead now and you're only taking 4 guys off of that.
They're younger
you're
classes.
You're set up to be good for quite a while.
It kind of starts with
no pressure, Jeff Lupo, if you're watching tonight. So it's like
it really starts for them. The classes kind of ping pong back and forth. Some years Jesuit will have the big class. Some years Brother Martin, I can tell you,
swing and a miss, good
there.
fastball there. We'll keep the conversation going.
Keep it going
here.
about
In the
those
middle
guys.
of the 5th here, 3-run score for NOCA in the 5th on 4 base hits. No errors, 1 runner left on base. It's an 8-7 game as we reach the midway point.
Feels like a late summer game where all the bats are comfortable and nobody's, you're going to get hit some doubles. And
sure.
The first game of the summer usually is, sloppy. You know what I mean? Guys timing are bad. Don't throw strikes and stuff like that. But I was going to tell you, I think Brother Martin's 27 class is really talented. All the classes are good, but that has an influx of too many good players. And I say that, I'll borrow that from Frank Cazzo at Rummel. Frankie always talks about, like, if you have too many in one class, it can actually be a problem.
Yeah. And you can't redshirt like a college coach to balance your numbers. Yeah.
So where do I play them? Sometimes you're going to play guys, not necessarily out of position. They're not out of position for you, but they might be out of position for that kid. Yeah. Right? I just saw kid went in the 8th round, Kyle Walker, as an infielder, right? And he's just a really good athlete. He played center field for that squad at Rummel his senior year, and he was really good in center field. But there was no doubt he could kind of play all 9 positions. He was even a catcher. But I think that when you look at Brother Martin, the fact that they have 4 or 5, that's a magic number. What you don't want is 12, because then it's a starvation. You know what I mean? Whereas Jesuit, the 26s,
they got a lot.
They got a lot.
Yeah, I think I counted a dozen on their roster a couple weeks ago.
Strong class. Michael Brothers, Marshall Serio, Joe Bosco. Those guys got to play and start as sophomores on the varsity. When that happens, though, the guys behind them, what do they get? Right? They sit in 9th grade in JV. A little too long.
They're playing juniors with no experience.
That's right. Yeah. So where I come in is I try to look around and go, what diet is your high school getting you? And then I go, all right, well, come play with me, Gavin Korn, and I'll put you against 17s all summer so you can make up that diet.
Yeah,
so
basically getting that high school season in the
That's
summer.
right. That's right. We call it varsity ready. And it's just part of what the mission is for us.
Yeah.
All right, so here's
Mason LeBlanc stepping in. This is Cameron Gutierrez.
Cameron Gutierrez, man.
Out of Haynes.
He's out of Haynes, so he's going to be
junior.
he's going to be like that perfect ACT guy eventually. But another guy should be going into his sophomore year, but he's going to his junior year. So he is a 27. He is going to live 84, 85. Can ramp it up a little bit more than that. He can run. He's got a big breaking ball. When you look at him, he's 6 foot, 6'1", and he looks young. He's got no hair, in his face. He doesn't shave yet. So this is one of those really good up-and-comers. He's been playing 17U ball all summer for us, so he's been playing up, so to speak, and he has done really well there. He'll get an at-bat in this game. He said he runs well. He'll probably go out and play either third or center field or right somewhere. But Haynes has a really good one in this kid.
That's hit on the ground.
And he left it
behind him. He had it in his glove. It was running over to first, and it popped out. Just a bad break right there.
That's one of those things, like if he trips and doesn't field that ball, that guy's out because Cameron Galicio is standing right behind him. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, what's funny is he took like 5 steps to first without the ball.
Mm-hmm. Didn't realize it. It's
kind of like fumbling and then running still instead of go pick up the ball.
Don't realize it.
Yeah.
It's going to go as an infield single. But
yeah.
So runner first,
well,
nobody out in area the batter.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not ordinary effort right there, trying to run off the mound about 6 steps to your left and make the play. So
very judicious, very diplomatic.
Right. I know obviously you stay close to this program. How have you seen it evolve from the time that you played to now? What do you see that's different? What do you see maybe that's improved over when you played in 2019?
Yeah, one thing I think definitely has changed from when I played was I think they have a few juniors now on this team. When I played, it was strictly seniors, and I guess
they have taken some juniors, and you've actually got you've got some college freshmen coming back as well.
Yeah, and I guess both those things, the college freshmen coming back and sure can help the rest of the team that just graduated, kind of learn the ropes a little bit of college and what it's like.
What I think Danny has to balance is the guy who graduates high school and is going to pitch somewhere. Yeah. Is typically wide-eyed and like, okay, what does my college coach want from me before I get there? And I'm just going to be honest with you. What your college coach wants is you to just show up healthy.
Yep.
He doesn't really care how much you throw. He doesn't care if you go to Guam to play. He doesn't care, if you take up, painting in the summer.
Yep.
Nor does he care if you go get in the league or play for your team. He just wants to know you're going to show up healthy, right? And so you'll get the better players, the bigger arms, like at a Tulane or at a UNO, and at the Division I level, there is a little bit more. Well, that's a nice hit.
Yeah, it's lined into the right center field gap with the runner on the move.
Decent.
They will run him around third, and he's going to score. And on the overthrow, we'll get a runner going into second base.
Little league play.
Yeah,
I think that happens too when you start throwing guys on a diamond together. That like this team you're seeing now doesn't play a whole lot together as a squad, although they should know where to go run. We gotta, it'll
go as a hit and an error on the play.
Yeah.
So get the RBI. Yeah, get the RBI and the overthrow. The overthrow then allowed Airy to move on to second base. So.
Yeah,
Airy with his second hit. So to finish the thought about just some of the other changes that maybe you've seen is a terrific bunt.
Pump fake it.
And
notice he didn't do that. So that's something we talk a lot about.
Yeah.
And what most kids do is they give that play's over. So they go, well, it's over. Well, no, if he pump fakes to first, that runner rounded. The base running error right there was made.
You got a chance to maybe steal an out right there.
Jesuit won a state championship on that because the same thing. They pump fake the first base. The guy rounded like a little leaguer, and they threw right behind him. But you could see Gutierrez gets to the ball, and he's kind of defeat. It's a hit, and then he plays over, and it's just one of those deals where, I wish we could practice these guys.
It's a coach. That becomes a coaching moment. Yeah, unfortunately, you don't get the.
But we don't get them all
you don't get 2 months of spring training leading into your first game to run all these different drills.
That's right.
So first and third and nobody out right here. Runner takes off. They will not attempt to play at second base, and Cantrell will steal second.
You caught it a little bit, Colby. We try to tell our catchers on a first and third, we don't run plays. that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
We'll just say, just have a feel for it.
Yep.
If you're on time and you know he doesn't have the jump, throw him out.
Yep.
If you bobble it in a transfer, don't throw it, right? If you're not on time and he has the jump, pump fake or do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, we'd always have plays, and my college teams and stuff, we'd have plays, but we rarely ran.
But you never ran them. You just did that.
We never ran them. It was just more of a read play. Whatever.
That's right.
What are you feeling?
I always joke around. It's an RPO. It's a run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can always you
like
got the option throw to second or go to third. Either one.
And then if you want to do something specific, like hey, no matter what, we want to pump fake here.
Yeah. And it's also just knowing the situation. Whether you need to throw it or not. Depending on the score, inning, outs, whatever.
That's right.
Who you got on the mound? Just depends.
And on 3-0, that
drills
hits Muller, so the bases are loaded with nobody out, and back to the top of the lineup in Blaze Rodriguez, who has been outstanding thus far tonight. He is 2 for 2. He is a 2-run homer, a single, a walk. He has scored 3 times. And we'll have a visit at the mound to talk about the situation and who's coming up.
Yeah, I think what you're doing now is you're trying to get a breather. I mean, it was forecasted to be like 115 on that diamond today. That's how hot it is.
It's a little toasty.
And these guys, everybody you see on that diamond right now, except for I think Schott, have not been in the game yet. So they've been in that cement dugout, right? Just breathing that air.
Yeah.
So I think now you're saying, okay, you guys, you're coming in the 5th inning, and credit. That's the first guy he hit. The first guy should have been out, right? Mm-hmm. Bobbles the ball on the mound, so that's 1 out. And then it's just the whole complexion kind of changes from there.
You still got 4.5 innings to go, too. You never
Yeah,
know
you have a whole
happen.
ball game left.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize. In 9 innings, like, this isn't some travel ball game where the umpire's looking at his clock and, some kid for the other team is tying his shoes to try to finish the game.
Right.
That will
would
get away, and that will allow
I'd say it would massively help
score,
if we stop throwing balls to the backstop. That would probably help our cause.
It'll go as a wild pitch, and everybody will take another 90 feet. That's 2nd and 3rd now, but still 2 men in scoring position as this is a 10-7 ball game.
See, he's missing arm side. He's striding across his body, and I'm watching our catcher kind of set up middle, right? See where he's missing? So right now, if I'm catching and I'm not coaching the game, I'm getting the catcher off the middle.
Yeah.
Right. Give the pitcher another line of sight.
Make him miss that side.
Yeah, make him miss over the plate. Like, don't let him hit a guy again. He's fighting himself to get back, and that's Cameron a little bit. Cameron will do that. Big, strong kid, but it's called a knee push. And if you watch it as they come forward, I don't know if we have a camera directly in front, right here, but where I'm sitting, I'm right behind the catcher. You can see when the back knee bends and goes into the right-hander's batter's box, like that.
Swinging on 3-0.
Oh, yeah, why not?
And that is out in the left center field. It is caught, but that will allow the runner from third to tag up and score. So a sac fly.
Marcellus Savoie in center field. I think he's the next center fielder at Jesuit after Brothers. Brothers has been – he basically bought real estate out there, John Ryan. The guy, he's been a 4-year starter. So – this will be a scene, but the kid
and that's a lot of real estate to cover in center field.
I'm telling you, if you can play center and John Ryan, you can play everywhere. But Marcellus Savoie, he floats out there. He looks like he's on skates. It's really nice.
Down the right field line by Berry, and that is going to be a foul ball.
Yeah, it's foul.
Just foul. So last question for you here before we'll let you go, Colby. A decade of this program. I know you came in and kind of the early stages of it. What is it that makes this opportunity special for those graduating seniors, or in some cases those college freshmen that are able to come back? What is it that it really separates the Cardinals from maybe some of the other opportunities that have presented itself for you on the diamond, or at any point in your career?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, by the time you're graduating high school, you either, going to college or looking to go to college, whatever. And, I feel like it's probably one of the best teams you can join around, play with the best talent players and prepare you for college the best. you're going to be playing against similar talent guys, and once you get to college, and it's great to play with them and also against them in whatever tournaments you go to play. So I think from a preparation standpoint for college, it's a great experience to play for this team. And then, again, it's great that
Another one to Savoie.
that one,
Look at this play.
center field, nice play.
And he's going to try to back pick him.
Good job on the backup there. And
Yeah.
second out of the inning. Go ahead and finish your thought, Colby.
Yeah, it's great to have sponsors, like Mr. Gibbs and, sponsoring the team. Pretty low cost to play for him. So I think it's just a great experience overall for anybody graduating high school and, going on to play college, get this last summer in.
I want to talk about that for a second.
Friends, yeah.
Look, we have to run a solvent-type company or we can't play. We have to pay coaches. We have to pay for events. Like, we can't run some fish fry on Thursday to pay for the tournament on the weekend. We're not 9 years old, right? And most fundraisers are really just parents taking an extra job anyway. It's not really a fundraiser.
Right.
But when you get to a point, what Gibbs has done, what Larry Gibbs has done, is he's made it possible to fill a void that I'm telling you was not going to get filled.
Yep.
Because people aren't going to come out of pocket and pay, upwards of – it's not upwards. It's really the range is between, say, $1,500 to $3,500 to play a summer baseball season for a private club.
And I want to say Gibbs is $150,
it's like,
$200.
they make you buy like a top, right? Yeah, my son played in it and loved it, and that's why I'm a big believer in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just telling you that cost, we in baseball have to figure this out.
Yep.
We are pricing baseball out of a lot of kids' lives, and that's not what it was meant to be.
Even equipment at this point.
It's brutal.
That's $500 or something.
You can't
like that.
get anything. I mean, we take teams to the Dominican Republic. We take them to Cuba. We've played down there. And we'll bring as much gear and as much stuff as we can bring, and we leave it there.
Yeah.
We give it to the kids and do whatever. And you give them like a Marucci and bat, and it's like gold. You know what I mean? But I'm just telling you that in this city, in Jefferson Parish, in this area, baseball's too costly for too many guys.
It is.
And it's not done on a talent level or an ability level.
Yeah.
It's done on a cost level.
Yeah. That'll go back to the screen, allow the runner to move on to third base.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about this team, too. It's low cost to play thanks to Mr. Gibbs and everything.
Well, think about it. If you were to graduate and you're going to play college ball,
why not?
Why are you going to invest more money in baseball?
Right.
Then you got
you're already
invested.
Right. Now, for every once in a while, there's the occasional Blaze Rodriguez who is found off of this team, but in a lot of cases, these guys know where they're going before the summer starts.
Correct.
This is not necessarily a chance to
Blaze,
get out.
Blaze
he was known, but he just had.
Where was he going? Pearl River or Gulf Coast?
Some JUCO, yeah.
Yeah, he was already done.
Yeah.
Right, but he ended up with a better. Chances. That ball is hit well to left field, and that is gone. Peyton Stubbs with a 2-run homer. That'll make this a 5-run inning and extend the Cardinals' lead now to 13-7. 5 RBIs for Stubbs in this game. He's got a 2-run double, a 2-run homer, and a sacrifice fly. Big day at the plate for Stubbs.
That was a good ball. It's 312 down the line. I mean, it was a good ball. He jumped on it. 3-2. He saw a bunch of fastballs. Gutierrez is struggling to find a zone.
Yeah.
You can just tomahawk stuff. He jumped on it, for sure.
Good swing.
Yeah.
We'll let you go after that home run. You delivered a home run there for your former team. Colby, thanks for your time, and we appreciate the visit, and best of luck to you going forward.
Of course, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, man.
Here.
All right. Good seeing you, Colby.
Yep, you too.
Tell your dad I said hi.
I will.
All right, Kobe McWilliams, former Cardinal, back checking things out in this 10th anniversary game, and a fly ball to right, and that will end this 5th inning, but not before the Cardinals come up with 5 runs on 4 base hits. Nobody left on base. We will head to the 6th in a 13-7 game, and so 5 innings in the books here.
Looks like a mahjong game. Look at the scoreboard.
Yeah, you got a lot of wild numbers up there. There's crooked numbers.
Anybody feel like throwing strikes today?
Well, it's just a lot of people swinging the bats.
That's right.
But again, when the strikes haven't been thrown either,
you get
the offensive
the extra
pay
base
on
hits
both sides.
have been really good. So
you've got what do we have? What is it? I think is there 7 extra base hits already for the Cardinals.
I think it might be 7 or 8.
Yeah. Five doubles, 2 home runs.
There you go.
And then NOCA with a couple of doubles last inning, 1 in the 3rd inning as well. So they've got 3 doubles. So that is 10 extra base hits through the first 5 innings of this game.
Fun game for the fans.
Yeah, they're seeing some offense. I mean, look, it's one thing. You and I, baseball purists, probably love to see a 1-0 game. That doesn't.
I'll tell you what
your
I like to
average
see.
baseball fan doesn't want to see 1-0.
I just like to see. I like to see execution. And so if the pitcher executes and is in command of himself and his stuff, the batter's going to have a rough day, right? And now the batter has to develop an approach to counteract that. You basically, the batter, I always say it's like going to a casino. The batter is sitting at the blackjack table. He's supposed to lose on the night.
Right.
If just deal the cards, he's going to lose. So if you can really hit, you're a card counter, and that's it. And it's hitting that's really tough. Mm-hmm. That's why you always hear this expression, just throw strikes. If you just throw it over the plate, I watched Home Run Derby the other night. There were a lot of balls that would have been just out. And
if you'd had an umpire back there calling strikes, it's like they used to do. You take a strike. And
pop up the right, pop up the left, ground ball, double play ball. So it's just this game is set up to favor the pitcher as long as he's in command of his stuff. Here comes Harrison Serio. This is the little brother of Marshall Serio. He was really good for Jesuit this summer, especially on the mound. But he is an excellent outfielder, and he can hit. I have him playing with the 17s as well. I just think he needs to be varsity ready. He was on the varsity as a freshman. Didn't play a whole lot as a freshman, obviously, but he will look to be somebody they look at and potentially fill a gap in one of the outfield spots if he's ready. Now, he does play basketball, and, we –
Different.
Yeah.
Basketball,
it's hard.
baseball, you see. Football, baseball,
I think that's hard. Well, you're going to miss the first couple weeks of baseball, and then you're going to come out and it's cold, and everybody else has had at bats, and they've thrown and all that other stuff.
You got to find a way to get your got to find a way to get your work in.
You do
on the side
and there's no
get yourself ready.
There's no way to get the work is one thing, and I see kids do that. Like Harrison will come in our facility and hit, and using him as an example. I'll go back to Brian Hughes, who's Brian Hughes played at Tulane Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Basketball player in high school, little guy, wasn't a big kid, right? He's a point guard. Harrison draws a walk, but Brian would come hit at my house. We'd throw in the backyard. He'd come at night. My dad would put up lights so he could hit in the backyard. He would get I would stay after his basketball practice and throw him batting practice at school. Like, we needed Brian to be good for us. He was a big factor. But even Brian would come out, and it would take him a minute to get settled. And what I realized later in life is that the one thing he's not getting and the one thing they don't get are at-bats. Because if you're playing on the basketball team at Jesuit, you're Chris Jennings coaching a Jesuit team, I don't want my guy standing in there taking at-bats. If he gets plunked, you know what I mean, and he can't play for me in basketball, I don't want that.
Sure.
So it's reasonable. I'm just telling you that they miss it, and it also ties into – our philosophy that the at-bats build the batting practice.
Well, and now to that end as well, I'm a big believer in multi-sport opportunities.
I am too, 100%.
The opportunities that present themselves just from a competitive standpoint. And, the things that you do, from an athletic perspective instead of just practicing, the competition that you're seeing.
Different speed, it puts a different mindset. Here's a base hit.
It's on the ground, and
our young buck's getting some hits. Fibble, he'll also be a junior at Jesuit. Came off sophomore year. I think he led their JV team in hitting. But I have him playing 17U as well. And here's Savoie again, and we talked about him a lot. I love the multi-sport guy. I wish, I play a little bit of football, a little bit of basketball. I wish it was more conducive at the big school level. And it's not anybody's fault. It's just the way seasons run into each other, and
not enough time. Yeah, it's just there's 9 months basically in
right.
not even 9 months in
right.
in the competition year for high school sports.
That's right.
Yeah, basically it starts
well, and it goes
late August and it's over. Now they've added a week to the baseball calendar with the additional
Right.
playoffs now with the best of 3 and everything.
That's right.
But that's it. Even then, it doesn't get to it's over in mid-May.
It's done. So it goes back to our conversation earlier on the broadcast of, are these guys, they're fighting for time. You know what I mean? Everyone's fighting for that time. And then how do you make the best of the time? And I think the best we can do is just get people to drop the anxiety, stop looking at Facebook. You know what I mean? It's okay that your buddy and some mom is going to, his kid's playing in the Dick's Sporting Goods whatever classic, right? It's okay. Right. We don't have to go jump in that.
Yeah.
And I think that also we talked about how the coaches are asked to wear so many hats over the entire 364 days of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's 365 that you got. If you're the basketball coach, say at Rummel, who's awesome and loves coaching, breaking ball into the ribs.
Yeah. So the bases are loaded with nobody out.
Yep. So if you're Scott Thompson, who I went to high school with, who is so passionate about basketball, every time I ran into him, I went to Rummel the other day and I ran into him and he walked up to me. All he wants to talk to me about is what they're doing in the gym and they're playing, they're teaching this and teaching that. Mm-hmm. And he is so passionate. But we're going to ask him to wear a hat 365 days a year. So now what happens when one of those kids during some of those days says, well, I want to go play this, right? That gets hard. And it's not Scott Thompson's fault that he wants to run an awesome program, right? It's just very difficult. And I think, I'd like to see some better answers for that for some of these kids than we've had.
Well, it is certainly a challenge that there's not necessarily a definitive answer to, but at the same time, I know coaches want to be able to maintain control of what it is that their young men or young ladies are
control
doing
their destiny.
out there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly. It's 0-2 here to Hunter Williams, who's stepping in for the first time.
When I coached high school ball, and I did it from 99 to 2005, Newman and De La Salle, and I there's a hit.
That's lined into left field and down.
Boy, Hunter Williams. So
station to station baseball.
There it
Williams
is.
Out of Shaw.
Well, Hunter Williams out of Shaw. He's a starting shortstop. He'll be a junior. Again, one of our young bucks. I think you can get appreciation now. Like, look, they're throwing a college guy against all of our guys out there that don't shave yet. These guys, and they have absolutely no, they're not backing off.
No.
So to me, I can't thank Gibbs enough, Larry. Can't thank Danny Ream enough for saying, yeah, we'll get on a diamond against you guys. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's 13-8, right? At the end of the day, if it's 34-8, if that's how this game ends, I'm telling you, I can look players in the eyes and go, you guys just got better because you're in that game.
Exactly.
And that's why you're doing this. So when Hunter Williams, you go back to Shaw, take that with you. Make Shaw better. I think that's the bigger piece. But I do like our younger guys. They tend to have a little vinegar in them, which is nice.
So we'll see a pitching change here
Yep.
for the Cardinals.
And look at Miley's bullpen. When did that happen? Good night. I used to have to warm up on the side.
Mm-hmm. Well, more and more you're seeing that getting moved out of play, I guess.
No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Look
and
at
it's,
that.
And it's
great.
Bryson Keller, who we've seen at the plate already as the DH.
Yeah.
Coming to the mound. Tell you a little about what Keller's done this summer as a pitcher. I pitched a lot thus far this summer. 1 1/3 innings, but has not given up a run. 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout.
Yeah. He's probably one of those, strike throwers that let me chew up some innings. Remember, they got to go to a tournament. So do we. Mm-hmm. So we've scripted out. We really don't want anybody to kind of broach 35 pitches today, right? So we talked about who's that going to be and, go up there and hit some bats. If somebody has a quick inning, maybe run him back out there. Like Jacob Stevens had a quick inning. Jacob put up a goose egg. We ran him back out there and he put up a 4 spot. Mm-hmm. So there is a balance here because there's more baseball to be played.
Sure.
But I think it's good to play. I'll tell you a funny story. Billy Fitzgerald told me this years and years ago. Just after the big, 98, 99 season, they took a team to Japan. It was like 2001, I don't know, maybe 99. And it was all the names. Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, Sosa. I mean, the lineup was like crazy, and it was legitimately one Major League All-Star team, and they were going to play the Japanese All-Stars, and I think it was in honor of Ichiro. Like, Ichiro was the connector, right? Okay. So they go over there, and they're going to play this team, and I mean, it's amazing, the names, right? You're going to think they're going to score 100 runs in the first game. And they spend, 4 days before they play their first game, maybe 3 days. They get acclimated. They have a practice. They do whatever. The first game, they win something like 2-0. The pitchers were all over them. Everybody striking out. It was like, a good player. It wasn't, obviously a really good big leaguer, but it wasn't one of these big namers that did anything. No home runs hit. They had to like basically the Japanese team made an error, and that's how they scored. And everybody's like, what happened? Why did these guys not hit? The Japanese pitchers are nowhere near our guys. What happened? The next day, after a couple live at-bats, it was like 18-0. Then it was 21.
You make adjustments.
Yeah, well, they saw live pitching, right? And now they acclimated to it. Plus, the travel to Japan must have been a bear. But here's Logan Nelson. So this is a nice young buck coming. He'll throw an inning tonight too. Big, tall. He swings right hand. He's 6'4". He can hit it out of here. So
takes a strike there from Keller. It's 0-1.
But he plays first base. He'll play some first base for Jesuit this year, DH a little bit. He'll be in their varsity lineup as well. And I like him on the mound too. He's big and left-handed on the mound, and so he's pretty interesting. There's Ben Harris making a great play as a third base coach. So happens when you put a shortstop in the box.
There you go.
But Logan's hit a couple balls this summer that have disappeared into the night, and he's thrown some gems. But he's just young. He's just one of those young guys. Sitting here, you get a good view too if you can see it. He's got the Ryan Sandberg stride. Watch this in the bucket. See it?
There you go.
So it's funny. He's just trying to open up and yank.
Yeah. Well, you see, whatever it takes from a timing perspective
Who
to
cares?
get you in a position. It doesn't matter how you do it.
No one cares. Yeah, no one asks.
Why, they don't
ask
my
how.
son. We were talking. My son was a bowler. Okay, and that is off the pitcher's glove. Shortstop tried to make the barehanded play, couldn't come up with it, and everybody's going to be safe.
Yeah,
that'll go as a base hit and an RBI. Just a bad break right there. If he's able to field it cleanly, you got a chance at a home the first double play.
Potential double play ball there.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's 13-9. First 5 have reached here the top of the 6th inning for NOCA. But to finish the point there, same thing with you see guys do everything all kinds of different ways. They throw one-handed, they throw two-handed. Their approach are different. They can't walk straight. But what it comes down to is that's a strike.
Yeah. Here's Cameron Gutierrez.
Yeah, Gutierrez at the plate. If you do the same thing every time,
give yourself a chance.
You give yourself a chance. You develop that consistency. It doesn't have to be the right thing. You just got to be able to do the same thing every time. Now, if you're doing something different every time, then you're going to struggle.
I think a lot of it, too, comes down to knowing who you are. When we evaluate players at 13, 14, when they first come in, we use film and we look at them. And one of the things we talk to their parents about is we'll ask questions. Is that something you do, or did someone tell you to do it this way, right? And what we're trying to figure out is what's a signature, like how you like to scribe, right? Mm-hmm. And then what is man-made? Man-made, we really want to question because we don't know, right? Signatures, on the other hand, are things you can repeat. So how I scribe my J looks the same when I write it every time, right? So if we can repeat it, we can be consistent. Then the at-bat, you also get a little more competitive. So we really try to look for signatures and really dig into why are some things man-made. But to your point there, just repeat it. If you can repeat it, you can be consistent.
1-2, good pitch, swing and a miss.
Breaking stuff.
First out of the inning.
Cameron could have. Gutierrez is one of the guys. If he puts it in a gap, you can watch him run, and you go, "Oh, look at that! He's a gazelle." Gavin Korn back up again.
Second at bat of the evening. For Korn, who struck out his first time up.
Yeah. Catcher from Holy Cross.
Takes a fastball outside. It's 1-0.
Look at Salta Formaggio at first base. He's playing like 10 feet. Now he's backing up. He was like 10 feet in front of the bag. That's funny. Especially with a lefty up. You would think give him a little bit of room. Because now, right now, you're letting the guy at first just walk you off. Now, they could back pick right here.
Outside the ball, it's 2-0. Yeah, but I guess in a perfect world, and especially with a left-handed hitter up there, if he hits a sharp ground ball to first, he wants to be able to go.
That's right.
Might try to go home to first for a double play. It's all
you're
working on situations right here. Yeah,
it's basically 4-0, right? You got a 4-0 lead.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're heading into the bottom of 6, so you got to get 11 more outs. You know, there's no panic. There shouldn't be any panic right now, and on either side about this. If this was for the World Championship, there still shouldn't be any panic. So I would play in front of the runner at first. I would backpick. I'm looking at Logan, and that's my guy, Logan. I would backpick him all day because look at his eyes. He's staring at the runner.
See the lead he's got. Yep, swing and a miss.
Well, not just his lead. Look where his eyes are. His eyes aren't on the pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
He is staring at the batter. So right now, if it's just quick, you could see it. Now he's checking the outfield. Good.
2-2 coming. Swing and a miss. So back-to-back strikeouts.
Yeah, rally killers.
For Keller. And look, these are situations, again, Keller's not a guy who's thrown a lot this summer, and this is a situation,
good experience.
And it might be a situation where he gets an inning next week.
That's right.
When you're trying, again, this team had to play 9 games in 6 days.
That's a lot.
Last year. You don't want to have to come out of the loser's bracket, but you have to be prepared to use arms if you do have to come out of the loser's bracket.
Right. Well, that's why a lot of teams are really good when they get in that loser's bracket because they know they're playing every day, and they're just running guys out there. They're not there's tension free. Like, we'll just go. But yeah, I agree. I think the fact that this kid on the mound is getting an opportunity to kind of pound the zone right now in this situation is good. One of the things I hear a lot from our parents sometimes, we'll get them as they come after travel ball at 12, is, he pitches, but they'd always put him in like the worst spots. And I go, well, what are the worst spots? And they go, well, bases loaded. And I'm like, well, why is it a bad spot? And then you're trying to
beats the alternative of sitting in the dugout,
well,
right?
Well, my line is I'm just making them realize that they think that's tough and worse. Those aren't your runners. You know what I mean?
You give something up. It's not your run, but at the same time you want to.
That's right. And with guys on base, I can get double plays, and so it's just flipping the mindset of like Gibbs was talking about, way forward. What's next?
Right,
stuff like that.
1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, and Keller after that single.
The Keller, the pitcher.
Keller, strikes out the side to get out of it. Yeah, 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors. The bases are left loaded. NOCA has left 8 thus far here tonight. And we've got a 13-9 game as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning.
Gibbs missed an extra point earlier in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And then we've only kicked 3 field goals.
Oh.
But just see we run out there now.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some other new babies coming out too. So now we got Harrison Joint running out there. That's Fibble. And then we have looks like Dominic Mandina. He's part of our 16U. He's actually a 15-year-old.
Wow.
Keller's going to stay at third. Galacio is heading back over to second base, it looks like. Big Jackson DeGrease is going to come on the mound. Hunter Williams is at short. There's Savoy running out to center field.
So DeGrease, you mentioned, out of Central Lafourche.
Central Lafourche. Watch this big kid.
Will be a junior as he gets his warm-up, tosses in. Let's quickly tell you that tonight's coverage on Crescent City Sports brought to you by Omega Concrete Coatings. Put an end to ugly concrete by transforming the surface of your garage, patio, or pool deck. To get a free no-hassle quote, call 877-363-8459 or visit OmegaConcrete.com. So as DeGrease gets in his warm-up tosses.
Pretty good attendance tonight. I mean, it's a hot, muggy night. And again, this was Tuesday. We're supposed to be on a.
It's supposed to be UNO. Thursday at UNO, and then we were trying to play tonight at UNO. And again, they've gotten a bunch of rain out there over the last few days, and just too much to catch up. And so able to be here at Mike Miley Stadium and not only get this tune-up game in for both of these teams, but celebrate the 10th anniversary of the Cardinals.
Yep.
And we're happy to be able to bring it to you here on Crescent City Sports. And if you're watching live, thank you for doing it. If you're not, or if you are, tell your friends. They can go back as soon as this game's over. It'll be archived right away. You can go back and watch the entire broadcast once again.
I know a lot of kids will do that too. Like the parents go back and they'll find their at-bats and stuff like that. So good stuff.
Yeah.
Leading off for the Cardinals, number 20, Cade Lacoste.
Cade Lacoste walked his first time up in the 4th inning.
New catcher, too, Josh Pushow. He is out of Rummel. I hope I'm saying that right. I say his name wrong, and now I don't know how to say it right. It's either Pushow, or Pusho. Either way, he's a good ball player. He's out of Rummel. He'll be a sophomore. He also is playing up all summer. DeGrease off to a 2-1 start.
2-1 here.
Jackson's about 6'2", 6'3", tall, lanky righty.
Lacoste on the summer, batting .238 with 4 RBIs, lifts that one into center field.
That was a pretty good-looking swing. He just missed it.
And now Keller was outstanding on the mound to get out of the top of the 6th. He is
The next batter, number 30.
the only guy in this lineup who has not reached base tonight. He's 0 for 3, so looking to get something going at the plate.
Uh-oh, he's buying drinks if he gets out here.
Yeah. Drills that one into left center field, way back and off the wall. Going to try to make it into second, and he'll get there without a problem.
You got a trail.
First baseman didn't trail the play. You want him covering second base on that play because you got your middle infielders
Every ball
looking
that
for the
gets in a
cutoff.
gap, first baseman trails, 2 guys go out in tandem. It's simple, but it's amazing to me how they miss that.
So we'll get a runner at
I heard something the other day. It's called the 3 Bs. I thought it was pretty interesting, and I've never heard that. And it was a ball, base, or backup. So on every ball, you got 3 things, 3 Bs. You either have to go get the ball.
That's up the middle, and
Nice
great play by the second baseman.
Look at that play.
Throw the first in
Galicia.
time.
Nice play.
That wasn't easy from any number of fronts there,
No.
Joey, because it glanced off the – I don't know if it glanced off the glove or maybe got a piece of the pitching rubber, so it was kind of funky getting out there. It looked like it was headed into center field, and it's right where you get that little bit of that edge, and backhanded and made the play. Outstanding job to get
really
the out.
good. Yeah, nice backhand sliding on his knees, popped up and threw a strike. Not only did he get an out, but he saved a run. Because if you see where Savoie's playing in center field, there's no way. That guy's walking in.
So it's a runner at third and 2 outs.
Yeah. What a nice play. Just get you a pop up here and call it a day, right? Even though I can't root against Kiefer Ari, one of my guys.
Yeah. 1 ball and 1 strike to Ari here, who has a couple of hits in this game. He's doubled. He's singled. Drove in a run last time, and that is ripped into right field, and that will be a base hit. So it's a 3-hit night for Ari, and that's going to kick away from the right fielder and into the corner, and he is going to take the extra bag in the second.
That is the right expression. We kicked it.
Put another run on the board for the Cardinals. It's now 14-9.
Yep.
And that is now 14 hits, I believe, for the Cardinals.
Yeah, look at the scoreboard. It's like it's either 14 hit.
Yeah, I believe it is 14.
Yeah, 14
now I got
hits
another runner at second base.
12 hits for NOCA. I mean, that's
a lot of hits.
That's a whole lot of balls.
Let me check my math here. We got Doug Morrow multitasking here this evening in the press box.
He's a DJ,
he does it all. He does it all.
Yeah,
that is 14 hits. So make sure the other side is right. They're 14-12. So.
It's kind of funny when you get I was watching the ball just scooch back to the backstop, and, we deal with kids, so we're not going to play super clean baseball all the time, stuff that you really want to do. But when you get to college, when you start skipping balls, like fastballs in the dirt, you're going to have some senior catcher call time and come to the mound and threaten your life. It's just
You're
going to happen.
You're killing me.
Yeah, like you're going to stop.
And that's and heard a lot of discussion as well with balls going back to the screen about is that it's fouled off.
Yeah.
About catchers who are now like catching on one knee.
Yep,
as
one knee
opposed
down.
Yeah, that's and
OKD.
They think maybe that's part of the reason for some of that it's harder to be able to get in front and block something when you're catching that way.
I'm going to raise my hand and tell you that is not the area of development I specialize in. But I will tell you that if you look in the big leagues, and that's where it's usually like if they're doing it there, it's the most value, so they need to be doing the top X amount of throwers, receivers, they're all one knee down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did somebody figure out, hey, this is better for the body, I'm quicker this way, keeps me maybe. I think blocking, you're already down there, and typically when you block, you just put your knee down. What if it goes to the other side? I get all that stuff. On the
3-2, it's a ground ball
Keller.
to third,
Nice
across
There it
in
is.
time, and that will do
Good
it here.
play. Yeah, but I'm an old school guy when it comes to catching. I just want the catcher to receive the ball where it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need the catcher to do anything special with the ball. I don't need him to work it back to the plate. I mean, I get you can steal strikes. I just need the catcher to receive the ball where we threw it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can do that, then I think we have enough fidelity and we're good. We can play.
Right. So it's a 14-9 game as we head to the 7th.
It's interesting. How many guys has Gibbs subbed anybody in or letting the same guys?
I've seen one sub thus far, and may see some more start to come in here. Looks like that's may get some new guys coming in here.
Yeah,
That's
waiting to see when that was going to happen.
I see Dylan Robichaux heading out to left field now. I think we may get some new guys across the board here.
He played for us too. Yeah. So
LeBlanc is now at first base.
yeah.
So again, the NOCA roster tonight is about 32 guys, if I'm making a rough count, something like
close.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Gibbs roster for the season
like 18
has
strong.
2021. So I mean, by the time you're running guys
You don't
on the
have
mound,
them.
yeah, you just don't have the numbers to run
Yeah.
that many out there. But again, they are going to sub at some spots here. Yeah, that's Dylan Robichaux from E.D. White that has now moved into left field.
Yeah, he played for us last year in the fall. Good player. He's undersized. He's not a tall kid, right? But he's well built, runs well, and he's right-handed, and he's a corner outfielder. So now when you look at that, you go, how do we use this guy?
Right.
where's he going to go to college?
Mm-hmm.
So, but
it's one of those things too. Is you get a chance to play,
Just play.
a number
Yeah.
of different places, and you get at bats, and you play a number of
play.
different positions. They'll figure it out.
That's right.
If you can hit, or
That's right.
you can catch, they will find a place.
Yeah.
They will find a place for you.
you're going
right?
to have to do that. That's right.
All right, so on to the 7th we go, and it will be
This is
Cameron.
Galicio. So, fun story about Cameron. Shaw kid, middle infielder, can pitch a little bit. Met him about a year ago, played in the fall. He obviously, he's an undersized guy when you look at it from a college perspective, but he's an absolute rat. He is a game disruptor. He made the play earlier.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He'll bunt, he'll move guys around, he'll just make things happen. He doesn't strike out a whole lot. And here's what's really funny. My dad delivered his dad. When I was an OBGYN, his dad told me, he goes, your dad delivered me. I'm like, oh, well, then you automatically must be a good baseball player. Camber Keller again. Brother Martin kid.
So we got Keller on Keller right here.
We do. No relation?
No.
That we know of.
I guess anything's possible. I remember.
That's right.
I remember when getting ready a few years ago to do a John Curtis Rummel football game, and that might have been the first time they met when Curtis joined the Catholic League. And
Yeah.
Curtis had an A-Bear quarterback, and of course Chase Fourcade was the Rummel quarterback. So you had A-Bear against Fourcade, just like you did way back in 1977 when it was Shaw against South Lafourche, right? And
Right.
So we reached out to Bobby and said, okay, this young man at Curtis, he related, says, if he is an A-Bear and his family's from South Louisiana, he's related. He's related.
That's really funny.
Swing and a miss and down on strikes. So 2 outs here in the 7th.
I actually like the mixture of, I was thinking about Camber Keller just now, swinging and missing at that. I like the idea that, you play with your school during the week. You're not going to get, you're not going to go face the older guys. It's going to be your team. But you're playing as a team. You're playing as a school. You're playing with your high school coaches. Mm-hmm. It is a culture thing, right? And then use the weekend to go get what you think you need. Mm-hmm. And we talk, our players a lot, our hitters especially, about hitting bingo. So you're playing bingo. Basically, have you seen a lefty that, has a good changeup? Have you seen a righty that throws hard? Have you seen a righty with a good sweeper? Have you seen a lefty, have you seen a lefty with a good breaking ball? Have you seen a guy who struggles to get ahead, a guy, guy who backdoors you? And just every time you see that guy, bingo, hit the card. Have you seen a guy who drops down? Have you seen a guy who's submarine? We saw that last weekend. And I think if your bingo card, if you can fill it all out in the summer, you're better prepared for what you want to go back to.
Sure.
So we talk a lot about hitting bingo. And this is one for Keller. I don't know how many at-bats Keller had this summer against this guy.
Right.
Who's, big, strong kid, or the other guy. So even if they strike out, it's fine. Hit the bingo card. Boom. I saw that guy. Okay. I know what I need to do now.
I faced him. I see him again. I know what I need to do next time.
Yeah.
Or this type of pitch or whatever it is. Count is now 2 balls and 2 strikes to Harrison Serio.
Harrison's last at bat for us, not last week, the weekend before, he hit one out up in Baton Rouge. I like his swing. I'm going to give you.
And goes the other way. Just not enough to get over the head of the shortstop. And it's a 3-up, 3-down inning as Keller has now sit down 6 in a row.
Yep.
It is 7th inning stretch time here at Mike Miley. And it is 14-9.
And here's some more guys coming out. So we got an Atticus LaFleur. Looks like he's going to first. He's a Newman guy. Harrison Joint is going to play second. Jesuit guy, probably on the varsity this year. Ben Neff is at short, another Jesuit guy. Really good player, comes from Uptown. His buddy from Uptown he played ball with, his name's Manny Vandaway. He's over at third. Really good multi-sport athletes on the diamond right now. 2 kids on the left side of the diamond play football. One plays soccer. So I like, matter of fact, this is an all Uptown diamond right now. This looks great. This is so funny to me. These are all Carrollton kids. Mm-hmm. Grew up playing at Carrollton, Carrollton Blue and all that good stuff. So really nice to see that they got a chance to go make the infield. Let's see who we got in the outfield. I can't take a peek. Missing a guy in center, missing a guy in right, so we'll see.
Just waiting on a couple more there. Make sure you get the right guys out there that you want to. As Harrison Serio is taking the mound now. We made the last out a moment ago. And
watch him
we'll
throw.
Go out and pitch.
He'll whip it. I like him a lot. He's already 6'1". His swing reminds me of Wally Pontiff.
Wow.
So I like the way his swing's put together, but he's throwing a Guidry now, who's his classmate. He's back in the game on the plate, so pretty good.
There you go. So in the bottom of the 7th, it will be the bottom of the lineup where we will get our first look at Dylan Robichaux, and then back around at the top. We'll see if there's some subs in there. It looks like I see Blaze Rodriguez in the on-deck circle. Looks like he's remained in the game.
Well, I wouldn't take him out.
I wouldn't necessarily take him out either, yeah.
I mean, if he wants to put a NOCA jersey on, he could do that too. Good player.
So.
But, this is nice. This is a lot of Judge Savoy still up in center. That's Mandina in left. Looks like Fibble in right. Gutierrez is that's Atticus at first, Atticus LaFleur. So good. We're getting more guys in the game. I think that's the goal. The parents are here. They want to see their kid play. I don't blame them. Let's see if we can't make things happen. I got Steven Serio in the dugout. He is as good and diplomatic as you can. He thinks about these kinds of things. So he's a great guy to have in the dugout.
Leading off for the Cardinals, number 4, Dylan Robichaux.
So it's Robichaux to lead things off here in the 7th. Swings and misses. Mentioned Robichaux out of E.D. White is 2 for 15 with a homer and 6 RBIs on the summer. Has walked 8 times. So despite just those 2 hits, a good on-base guy. He's actually got a .519 on-base percentage because he's been hit 4 times. So he's one of those guys you like in this spot. Whatever it takes to get on, you get on, right?
When I met him, it was at the beginning of last fall, and he came and played in the fall with us. And, man, all these E.D. White kids, we get a lot of them. They are all put together bulldogs. And
play the game right, too.
They do, man. Everything matters.
E.D. White was a 7 seed in the playoffs this year and got all the way to the state championship.
I mean, we have all those guys who play there. You know, I could rattle them off. And it kind of started years back with a kid named Dylan Bellinger, or Bergeron, I'm sorry. And he graduated in 21. We had a kid before that, too, that was really good. But there's a ground ball for Neff. Let's see how he comes through it. Oh, boy, nice play.
Got him at first.
I know. Can run a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Just got him at first by a half step. Robichaux was getting it done down the line.
And again, think of this. Now you can play older guys. They move a little better, run a little better. You can't sit on a ball, you know. But he came in and said, look, I know I played all these other places. I really want to get inside your fall, know who I am. And we play a couple of JUCO teams, and so we brought him out to play those JUCO teams. And we play 5 weeks in the fall. And by the fourth week in the fall, he couldn't get out. I mean, he could not get out. And I went, man, this guy. The first couple of weeks, there was a little bit of a struggle there, but he was really good. And I just think guys who are a little undersized, right-handed corner outfielders, those are the last guys that kind of get looked at. You know what I mean? And so I'm hoping, things. I think he got picked up somewhere. But man, he'd be an easy guy for me to advocate for because I watched it. Good
strike to
ball.
Rodriguez there. It's 1-1. Nice pitch.
Yeah, Harrison can throw. He throws like a little frisbee up there every once in a while. It's a true breaking ball. It's a true curve ball. It can almost look like a sweeper. There's a ground ball. Let's see if we can roll it.
Finally, tonight, they got Rodriguez out.
That's called,
somebody did. He was out last time, but it was a sacrifice fly.
Well, I think the first base coach has to tell him, no, you have to actually go in the dugout now. You can't, you don't get to score.
Right.
I know.
No, so he was retired last time, but wasn't an at-bat. Yeah. It's a sac fly. So now he is 2 for 3 on the night. Single walk, home run, 3 runs scored, 2 RBIs. So 2 out and nobody on for Gavin Berry. Yeah, that is Berry.
Yep.
Who's been on board 3 times as well, has scored a couple of times.
Yep. Drag bunted his time at bat before. Always took good at bats, always find barrels, very competitive, always could do that stuff. That's I always knew about Gavin.
Gavin on the summer, 415, no homers, 19 RBIs. How about a 600 on base percentage? So if he would let's just say he gets out here for the sake of argument. His on-base percentage is still going to be 600. He's been in the plate right. 5 times. He's been on 3. So right. that's crazy good.
Like I said, he competes. If you compete at the plate,
you look at these numbers that the Cardinals have put up this summer. They're a team 351 batting average. Their OPS as a team is over 1,000.
I believe it.
You got a lot of guys on this team.
A lot of good players, and remember, they're playing a year under most of the time, right? So they're playing that grade behind them or the grade double behind them.
Right.
But, again, you still have to get hits. You still have to find the barrel.
Right. Even in batting practice, you got to hit the ball.
That's right. It's hard to hit.
So the old saying about, quarterbacks, if you're playing against air to be able to do that. There's a walk. So now his on-base percentage got a chance to go up tonight.
That's right.
Been on board 4 times in 5 trips, 2 walks, a hit batter. He's 1 for 2 officially. And Peyton Stubbs will be the batter. He's had a really good night at the plate. He's driven in 5, a 2-run homer his last time up, got a 2-run double, sacrifice flies, so he is officially 2 for 3 with those 5 RBIs. That's a strike. That's a good pitch on the inside corner.
I'm interested, not to press fast forward too much, but to see somebody like a Harrison Serio or Ben Neff, who's at short. These guys, give them 1 more year, right? Even 2, because they're really going into their sophomore year. Like, what do they look like when they put on a Gibbs jersey? That's also how I think a little bit too. Is, we'll send a lot of guys. My son was one of them. They'll go play for Gibbs when they graduate. And
in Harrison's case, it's 3 years from now. So.
That's right. And so the idea is, like, what do they look like when they get to that roster in that dugout? Good wrap-around breaking ball. Umpire says nope. Even though it's 14-9, I'm not going to give you that.
Two-one. Drilled into left center field, and it will be caught a couple of steps in front of the wall by the left fielder.
Dominic
and
Mandino.
that will do it. But that was even a loud out right there.
Yep. Every ball he's hit tonight's been pretty loud.
Mm-hmm. So that'll end it for the 7th. No runs, no hits, no errors. A man left. We head to the 8th in this one. But before we get to the 8th, we want to remind you tonight's coverage of Crescent City Sports presented by Campus Center. So through 7, it is a 14-9 game. Gibbs Construction Cardinals with the lead. And again, these guys going back out on the field for the 8th inning. We're playing 9?
Playing?
Yeah, we're playing 9.
Yeah,
we're playing 9. They had to think about it for a second.
I know.
It was interesting. I don't know if you saw in the Futures game on Saturday in Atlanta. They actually, trying to manage and get guys in and not overuse guys. And they didn't need to play the bottom. They were playing a 7-inning game in the Futures game. Which I don't know why. Many guys you got, I don't know why they only had to play 7, but they did. And they got to the bottom of the 7th, and the home team was leading, but they still had to get guys in on the other side.
7
so
innings.
they played the bottom of the 7th. But actually, the guy who got the last out of the game was Keegan Gillis, the former Brother Martin Tulane standout.
Yep. 6'10".
He can. He's just got promoted
6'9".
last week to AAA, so one step from the big leagues. He's had a terrific year this year in Double A. Let's see what he does the second half of the season in AAA.
When I met him, I think he was 13 or 14. He was, already 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", and I'm like, oh man. But he was coordinated. He played basketball. He just had super long limbs, and so those guys tend, if they drag a little bit when they throw, if their timing's a little late, that's when you get a lot of kind of valgus pressure on the arm, and so. I think he had a pin, or he might have had actually a Tommy John done at about 15. And then his recovery process, I was part of that. He was really good with that. What a great kid. And his dad, just a great guy, and really wants him to grow to be a man. But his story is interesting. And then he committed to Tulane as a junior, I think, in high school. He was thrown in a showcase, and I think it might have been Pierce at the time, who was the coach who signed
Could well
him.
have been, yeah.
Liked him. So we got here. So this is, I think this is
hitter.
Dominic Mandino. Yep, he's out of Jesuit. He's an outfielder. He leads off, hits lead off, 2-hole, a little bit of 5-hole for our 16U. But he's a challenging out for sure.
So you got a couple of number ones here.
Yeah.
So this is Mandino.
Mandino, Dominic Mandino. Yep. He's heading into his sophomore year. Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at the scoreboard shows like it's the 9th, but it's actually
the
8th.
It's actually the 8th. Right.
Yeah. Let's see if we can figure that out here, but Mandino hits one on the ground foul.
He can run now. Mandina's a plus athlete. He can really motor. He plays a good outfield. He's a good player. But yeah, I watched Keegan throw it the other night, and I thought, look at that. That's a long journey to get to that spot, Always is. So he's knocking on the door. That's great.
And that's not like a AAA All-Star game or a certain level. That's just the best guys in your system at that point.
That's just who you want to put in there, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good honor.
So a strikeout as Keller's come in and done a really good job here in relief. He has struck out 5 in 2 1/3 innings of work. And really, he stemmed the tide there in that 6th inning. That was a chance for NOCA to get back in this thing, and he struck out the side with the bases loaded.
There were 2 innings for NOCA that I thought were another hit, turns the whole tide. One was when Blaze Rodriguez threw the kid out at home. That was early. And then another one was when this kid came in and actually, just threw strikes and threw it past him. So I think he's done and now look, he's just filling up the zone. I mean, since he's come in,
Yes.
you don't have the free walks and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, he's facing a lot of younger guys right now. So right now, if I'm him, I'm just challenging. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead, hit it. You know.
This is Ben Neff stepping in,
Ben
the
Neff.
rising sophomore out of Jesuit.
See, like strike one, I throw it again, hit it again. What are you going to do with it? You know. Two. There it is.
There you go.
Ben's warm.
And again, he's one of those guys. He hasn't thrown a lot for the Cardinals this summer.
There was a breaking ball.
That's lifted in the air to shallow center field.
Ooh,
Center field
that's
can't handle it.
Yep.
It got down. I don't know. We're getting to that point that
High sky.
yeah, it's a high sky. I don't know if lost it. Sky lights, whatever it is. You know, we're right about twilight.
I told you this before about what they should do at the stadium. I saw this years ago when we were playing some fall games here. These lights here behind us, you can see them in the outfield, and you can lose a ball pretty
You're
quick.
saying the ones in the grandstand.
Yeah, the one in the grandstand. So if you just put something, some shade on this side, something that blocks the light for the field, but keeps it in the stadium,
or even move the lights up. You know,
But I've heard that from outfielders. They'd come in, I lost that ball, and I go, "What do you mean it was in a light?" And they go, like, what light? And they go, the ones in the stands.
Yeah, I mean, you got a place where you could legitimately, like, if you wanted to recess them a little bit, and by the beams,
put a
or put a cover to where they can't see it. I
That's
see
right.
what you're saying. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. A one-way cover. Oh, big! Now we got Dylan Stevens. All right, Dylan Stevens is Jacob Stevens' little brother. Holy Cross. He will be a sophomore as well. Throws right, hits left. He catches, can pitch, plays third. Big-bodied kid. The joke that we always say is that Dylan Stevens has all the testosterone in that family. If you go look at him, he's just put together, and he looks like a caveman.
Just a rising sophomore.
Just
so
a rising
long
sophomore.
way to go.
Yeah. We're excited about him too.
Strike
took that
three
one,
called.
That's a
6
tough one.
strikeouts for Keller. No runs, no hits, 1 error, and 1 man left. We are headed to the bottom of the 8th inning here in this one. It is a 14-9 lead for the Gibbs Construction Cardinals. And a chance
I did tell
for us
Danny
to
I thought the score would be 14-5.
There you go. Well, you
did.
got the 14 right, so or at least at this point.
Them, 14-5 them. That's what I thought the score would be. Not us. I thought them.
Yeah. Chance to remind you that tonight's coverage on Crescent City Sports is presented by Gibbs Construction, a leader in the construction industry in Louisiana and the Gulf Coast for nearly 50 years, as Larry now reminds us, transforming dreams, visions, and plans into reality. Gibbs Construction.
Yeah, it'll be good. Next inning, I think they'll try to get the at-bats for our guys who hadn't gotten an at-bat. So I think that'll work pretty well. Yep, Pushu, Vandewey, and LaFleur will come up next inning, and everybody got their ABs. So for us, that's I think that's a really good night for us. We got all these guys in the game. So happy to see it.
So, again, this is one of those things, especially in a game like this. You're trying to give everybody a chance to get in there as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, for us, it's got to be like that. It can't be – I mean, if I just said, okay, look, we're going to bring out our juniors and we're going to play you guys straight up and let's get – that's a different ball game, right? I look at things as opportunities. So I'm going to stay true to that. Then I'm going to say, how good is it that we got, Guidry to catch, or this kid on the mound, or Harrison joined at second base, or Ben Neff at short. These are opportunities that these kids aren't finding other places against this type of team, this type of talent. So I'll just take advantage of it. And then, my job is to take care of the kid and the family. It's not really to win baseball games.
Sure. If that happens, that happens.
That's right.
That's it.
No, they'll play. They're competitive. Look,
right. No doubt.
It's a 5-0 game after 9 innings.
Sure.
It's really what it is.
Sure. So Logan Nelson on the mound here for the bottom of the 8th inning.
Interesting kid.
Another big left-handed arm out there. Just
telling you,
chance.
they got some guys coming up. He's a rising sophomore as well.
What is
Yeah.
What having lefties on the mound in high school? It's not like you see them all the time. Is that does that generate an inherent advantage for you? Just based on that fact?
I think what happens is lefty, because you don't see him all the time, when the lefty faces another lefty, it creates all kinds of disturbances for the batter, right? So we know there's some truth in that. I think, because they can throw breaking balls to other lefties and it breaks away from them, as opposed to, a righty's breaking ball break into them. So it's a different look. I think the other thing about a lefty is they can manage the game better if they're going to manage the game. That was a good fastball right there. So if you got a guy who knows how to manage the game, hold runners, uses pick moves, uses step-offs, his timing, disruptions, then you're going to have a hard time getting the second base, by stealing, right? So you're managing the running game from the mound, and guys just can't get jumps. Him and Harrison Serio in the same class. They're both left-handed. They both have good stuff. They could both be a real problem for the rest of the Catholic League when they really arrive.
Well, and imagine you get to that point, and all of a sudden, let's say you're facing Jesuit in a 2-game series, and they're running 2 left-handers out there at a couple of years from now.
Left-handed pitch.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And it's not something you're going to see all the time. Yeah, you may see a left-handed reliever come in and get a couple outs or that kind of thing, but you're not seeing it all the time.
That's right. I personally, as a right-handed batter, I love left-handed pitching. I felt like I saw it better. I felt like the ball broke into me my whole life. So I looked for it, but when I would face that righty every once in a while that could throw it a little more 3/4, had a little bit more of a slider, that guy would give me problems. And so I think with lefties, that's what you fall into. When lefties face other lefties, that's the idea. Now, you get to the big leagues or in college ball now where they have all the data from Rapsodo or TrackMan, they don't care if you're left or right-handed. They care about what your ball does and then what batters struggle with that ball. So I heard the other day, J.P. Martinez, give him a shout-out. He's the head big league pitching coach for the San Francisco Giants. I went up there in May and spent some time with him, met his wife and his kids. His dad was going up there too, so we all got to hang out with Matt. And one of the things he told me, during before the game and after the game, we hung out a whole lot. And he said, Ohtani. He said, Ohtani, that guy's a problem. We started laughing. I'm like, yeah, I bet. And he goes, so if you're not a righty that can run cutters up, you're going to have a real problem with him. Mm-hmm. You walk up and think you're going to left-handed spin him. As a manager, you think, well, I'll just run my best lefty out there, my best breaking stuff. Doesn't matter. Where he hammers the ball is low, and then you got to cut it up on him. So you would never think a cutter that you really cut up on his hands, that's how you got to – that's his nemesis. And obviously, you better get it there because he's a little bit of a freak.
Don't miss.
Yeah,
right?
Don't miss.
Yeah, you wanted I was
nice
watching
right
I think it was 2 Saturdays ago when Astros were playing the Dodgers and Framber Valdez was pitching against him. And he's handled him well over his career. But it was they were talking about that, some of the things he was doing. Yeah, if you leave, it's great what you're trying to do with with change-ups and you're running stuff away from it and you're running stuff back in on his hands and things. But if you make a mistake and you leave something center cut,
you're in trouble.
You better go ask the umpire for another baseball.
That's right. You're in big trouble. So I think hearing that from him, it throws out the old school of lefty on lefty, right? Righty on.
Sure.
It throws it out, and now they're using these new.
Yeah, first at bat here for Blake Hooper, and that's a base hit.
There you go.
Hooper out of Riverdale gets a swing here.
Nice little inside out. And that was lefty on lefty.
Yeah, I say that. I believe that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's funny that he's like, it used to be what you could see and discern. Now we don't want to see and discern. We want to know. Jobs are on the line, so we need to know. And it's just a different game today. But they love him. They love J.P. Martinez in that organization. I mean, from the head guy to the third base coach to the player development, guy, the guy directs that. I've met him. They love JP, and the players love him. I mean, went in the parking lot, and the security guard loved him. So I think you're going to see him if he wants. You're going to see him at some point be a big league manager. I just think when people people respect you that much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or you just you sitting there as a pass ball by the catcher, or you sit in your craft and you're just really good at it, so you end up just being a pitching guy.
Sure,
that's
and
fine
it's all about you know, like some guys are very good assistant coaches. Maybe they don't make great managers or head coaches, whatever the sport may be. But there are other guys who are destined to be, destined to be that guy.
Right.
And it's all about and again, when you're a specialist, if you will, like you say, a pitching coach. Okay, you're dealing with pitchers. Okay, now you got to be able to go out and manage the entire game. It's one of the fair or unfair with catchers. Catchers are dealing with pitchers, but they're also offensive players. So maybe does that give them an advantage when it comes to trying to be a manager at some point?
Nice pitch.
And it's happened a lot. You see a lot of catchers that's right.
Mike Sosha. Yeah, that was a big one.
Oh, you can
go down the list, right?
Yeah, I mean
I agree. I had
good ones.
I had dinner in college. Frank Torrey played with us at UNO, and then that's
lifted into left field. This
might have a shot if he can get behind it.
Perhaps be deep enough to get the run home. They'll send him and
hit
the
Red Hots. He's out.
Yeah.
Red Hots. He's out.
Hit the runner in the back on the way home, and then it will be a sacrifice fly. The runner's going to move up to third as well. So it is now 15-9 on the sac fly. That was actually, I believe, DeRoche re-entered in that spot and got a swing in there. So Ari, who has a 3-hit night working. We'll get a look at a lefty here. A little left-on-left action.
Yeah.
And he lifts that one in the air down the left field line.
That's
Somebody's got to get there, and that is a foul ball. Just foul.
That was no man's land. That's about 100 feet past third. Shortstop almost got there.
Yeah, third base, shortstop, left fielder. And, of course, when you got a left-handed hitter up there, the left fielder's probably shading a little bit around the other way. So it's even a longer run there.
I just got a text from Dylan Robichaux's dad. I thought he got somewhere. He got an offer from William Carey.
Okay.
So he's excited about it. I think that's
there
awesome.
You go. That is great.
Good player. And it took him like 2 weekends.
And I should say that was updated on the information
I see it right
that
now.
they gave us
nice play
earlier today. We should have mentioned that. So
that's a pretty good inning by Nelson.
Yeah, did give up a run.
Sure.
On a hit. 1 man left. So we head to the ninth. It is a 15-9 lead for the Gibbs Construction Cardinals over NOCA.
It's been all field goals tonight. But, yeah, that kid was really good. I loved him, loved his dad. I wish I had him since he was 13, right? And the fact that he's going to William Carey, he's found a spot. I think it's great because he was a Bulldog, and I know he helped Edie White a whole lot.
So we'll get a look for the first time tonight at Spencer Strubar, the right-hander out of Destrehan, who is headed to Baton Rouge Community College. Spencer on the summer has made just one appearance, so he's headed out there for the second time. And again, he's a guy, trying to get some work here. And look, given the opportunity,
he might be a late pickup too. I remember last year we had, they would have Will Andre for part of the summer. Will, since he committed to UNO, has shut down, right? But Will pitched for us, as a junior on our 17U. Right. It was really good. Our season ends right about this week, right? We try to not play too deep into July unless there's something really meaningful. Last year, I think it ended the same thing. So when that happened, it's like, he called me and goes, hey, who are your arms I could take over to this event? I said, man, you got to get Will Andre. And sure enough, Will was great. He got in that loser's bracket and they started battling. Yeah. He won a game or two in there. So that's good. Shout out to Jay Gibson, the new head coach at UNO. Got a couple conversations with him recently. I knew him before when he was at Southeastern and went to Belhaven. So, I know at Belhaven he did some really good things with limited resources.
Yeah, got him to a super regional.
Yeah. So
see,
it's good.
best of luck to the Privateers in
Yeah.
2026. And
Well, I'm an alum.
forward.
That's where I
Yep,
played, so
there
I
you
can.
go.
I always say this.
I worked out there for a year.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, so
I think everybody had a stint there.
I
Sometime.
think somebody, if you haven't,
It's like being a cast member on an extra on Star Trek here in Hollywood. Like everybody has that in their IMDb page. But I always say this because I went to Jesuit, played at Jesuit, went to UNO, played at UNO. So the only place I'll really comment as an alum are those two spots. You know, and I'd love to see UNO. Try to announce, and I think Gibson's going to do this. Announce that. Listen, we're going to do it a little different, right? We're not going to just go in the portal and get 25-year-olds, and you know what I mean. We're not going to go get kids from.
Look, you can.
Yeah.
There's if you need to fill a need, there's always that. But at the same time, I think there's something to be said for development. The concern about the development side is, you invest in somebody and you start developing them, and they're good, and then boom, they're gone. I mean, you look at Bryce Callaway was tremendous this year and deserved all the All-American honors he's got, but you saw that
Georgia.
He's at Georgia, yeah.
So I mean, well, yeah, it would come. I think all those Division I's, those mid-major Division I's, and this is not to be offensive. I think they have to look in the mirror and say, what strategy? This is Josh Pushow, by the way, Rummel catcher. Shout out to Frankie Cazzo and those guys. But what strategy is going to make the most sense for me and our culture and what I'm doing here, right? If the strategy is, well, I want to get to Omaha, well, then guess what? You better get NIL money, right? Because you're not going there without it. And if you think those kids on, Coastal Carolina didn't have NIL money, you're nuts. Those guys are NIL'd. So you better get money.
And they're getting crowds out there, but they're getting guys in there. And they're going into a spot that, they went into New Jersey a lot to get guys. That's not exactly
was that
a
Coastal,
place that,
you mean?
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not.
They're not.
I'm
They're maybe
using
not.
as an example.
But the point is, they're not. They may be knocking on doors that others are not.
No,
And I think that's what you got to do. You've got to create. You got to create a point
culture.
of difference in
What
your
is it?
program.
What is it gonna be?
What are we going to do? What are we going to do? If you're trying to do the same thing that everybody else is
You're gonna
doing
lose.
with less resources, it's not going to happen.
And that was my point. And in New Orleans, living here my whole life, I'm in the medical field as well. Hire guys. I would really struggle
3-2.
hiring someone to cover New Orleans in my medical world that
wasn't from New Orleans, no doubt. And look, you've seen it. You've seen it work. You go back to before your playing days. As a swing and a foul. Joe Brockhoff did it very well at Tulane.
Yep.
Okay. Joe Sherman has obviously done a great job with that for many years at Delgado. You look on the football side. You look at what Timmy Rebo did at Nichols and what Frank Selfo is now doing at Southeastern, where basically they're trying to build a wall around this area. Look, they know that guys are going to go to LSU and Tulane, but if not, there's a swing and a miss for the first out of the ninth inning. We want them to come to our program, and that's what you need to do.
It used to, you got to give a lot of credit to Southeastern. I mean, Reiser was part of that program that got built up. They got football involved. That was huge. Going to Southeastern, going to Hammond, it's Hammond America, right? I mean, that's the slogan. It is small town Americana. It is a good feel. And
No doubt.
I had two brothers that played at Southeastern, so I can talk about it a little bit. That's strong. I think UNO, and this is the big thing I'll say about it, is local players establish local connections to local communities.
Yeah. This is our first look tonight at Manny Vandenway.
Manny Vandenway, his first debut.
Rising sophomore, Jesuit.
Yep. So I think that's ultimately the idea is that, let's say you get a Manny Vandenway at UNO. All right, awesome. Well, his dad's a local attorney and
helps
mom's
on a number of
physician.
fronts. You're
Right.
putting butts in seats.
Well, that and
the
you're
brothers,
plugging
the
into
sisters, the
communities.
girlfriends
That's right.
they're all showing up at the games. No, I agree. Rather than all things being equal, you try to get the local guy. There's no doubt about it. Now, if you've got some connection that enables you to get somebody from out of the area, look. It's all about the best players too.
I think at UNO the thing that still has to get answered is what is the school going to be, not the baseball program.
Well, and I think it's got a chance to get better. I like what's going on with Stacey Hollow in the basketball program. In a tough first year, but I think he's got a chance to make a big jump here in year two. My colleague at Crescent City Sports, Jude Young, very involved with calling their games. And
Yep.
be interested to see. A
Man,
swing and a miss to take a throw down to
nice
first.
Break. This is a tough guy for those guys to hit. I mean, this is a JUCO commit. These are sophomores. Going to be sophomores. Right. And here's Atticus LaFleur. Now he's going to be a junior. He's a Newman guy. Catches, plays some infield. But this is a tough one. This is your lone at bat of the night, and it's against this guy.
Yeah, you've been swinging it for 8 innings, and all of a sudden now you got to face this guy coming in fresh, and
he's better.
He's bringing it. Yeah,
he's better than any pitcher you saw this year on your JV roster.
No doubt.
Yeah, I root for UNL. As an alum, and I think Gibson's after speaking to him a lot. I think he has a really good feel for what he wants to get accomplished. And one thing I'll say about this guy, because I've seen it, he will pour into the players he has.
No doubt.
You will feel connected when you're there, and I think that's a lot. Because I can tell you, I've had players go off and play in other programs, and they feel like they don't. They feel like it's just a business.
Right.
So I'm excited for him. I think Jay's done a great job.
No doubt.
Look at Tulane winning conference tournaments. And
Very, got to another final this year, with a chance to win 3 in a row. It's.
I mean, a guy. That's got to be a tough place to coach. You think about trying to get players there. You have NIL money, but let's call it what it is. It's hard to. I mean, it's expensive to play there.
Swing and a miss, and that will do it.
Yep. 1, 2, 3.
Nice job as Srubar comes in and strikes out the side in the 9th, and I believe that will wrap it up. Making sure we're suddenly not playing the bottom of the 9th here. Looks like we're all headed out to shake hands. All right, they're going to go out and.
I'm doing my math here, and it looks like.
Did you get everybody in on the NOCA side?
We got everybody in at bat. Look at that.
There you go. That's outstanding.
How do you like that?
So your final score tonight, the Gibbs Construction Cardinals 15, NOCA 9, and. Look, only one winner on the scoreboard, but I think both programs benefit from having played this game this evening and the competition you got late in the summer, high-quality competition on both sides to be able to face to get ready for what is still to come.
I do too. I think, as I take a picture of these guys shaking hands, I think these games should happen more for more kids, and it's unfortunate, to be honest with you, that they don't. I think we're stuck in a system where, the idea is we play at our age and we only play each other. Travel ball has told us if you're 11, you play 11s. If you're 12, you play 12. And I think
at this, once you get to this point, obviously, is there a difference? There is a difference, certainly, but I think the differences shrink a little bit. The jumps from 11 to 12 can be greater than the jumps from 17 to 18, if that makes any sense.
Right.
So, again, you don't just, for instance, when you go play in a high school game, in February, it's not just the juniors or not just the seniors playing.
That's what I tell people.
Right. It's not any different.
If you're going to play on the best 13-year-old team in the state, like I hear this a lot, because we recruited 13. And I hear parents tell me, well, he's got a chance to be on the blah, blah, blahs, the surf ninjas, and they're going to be the best 13 in the state.
Okay.
And I look at it and go, great.
Congratulations.
Who are they playing? Yeah. Other 13s? Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay. And again, again, that means that's great, but at the end of the day.
No high school coach cares where you came from like that. They don't care.
Well, Joey, this has been a lot of fun talking baseball, talking about high-quality baseball, what is going on in the area. We appreciate everything that you do with NOCA and being with us this evening. Our thanks to Matt Merritt. Our thanks to Michael Cortello. Our thanks to Doug Morrow being Mr. Everything over here to our right. Our thanks again to both of these teams. And our thanks to you for watching tonight. Stay with Crescent City Sports. We'll have full coverage all summer long of what's going on in the best in New Orleans area high school baseball. Of course, get you ready for football season, too, which isn't far away. Probably the next time you see a stream from us, we'll be on the football field coming very soon. So for the entire Crescent City Sports team, I'm Lenny Van Gilder saying so long from Metairie. Once again, your final score, the Gibbs Construction Cardinals 15, NOCA 9. Until next time, so long, everybody.